Well, as we move into picks and bans for game number 1, I'll give Captain Twig his day in court. He has played 5 different gods in the last 6 games, just a repeat performance on the year-long Shen. That'll leave the Camelot Kings in that first pick slot. Valhalla Valkyries drop down to the second pick. They'll get to answer back with a couple priority picks of their own. I think Olaron aggro, it's a discussion that we had on the waiting room today. I think a worthwhile discussion to have here. Feels very counterable from a lot of what we saw in week number 1. The Cthulhus, the Xing Chens, the Kamazots. Not going to be really a factor in this one because the Valkyries prioritize Olaron high enough to just go ahead and take him away.
Yeah, I think that with the style the Kings play, they like to play towards these later game team fights. They prefer to wait until that stage. That's where Olaron is going to be at his best. So against the Kings, I think it makes some sense to take it away. But as you said, I mean, I've been pretty vocal about it. I think Olaron is pretty overrated right now, at least in terms of its prioritization. I think the teams are taking him way too early.
Do you think Stone of Foul is overrated right now?
No, I think that item's really good.
Yeah?
I think that item's really, really good. And I think it's good on good characters like Soul.
Such a good item on a bad character. No, not bad.
Not as good.
Misunderstood. Maybe.
Yeah, it's not a phase, okay?
Well, it's a phase right now. The Valkyries are in the midst of the banning phase. That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
Stone of Foul, we expect to see that prioritized itemization-wise throughout the day today, throughout this weekend, and into the Phase 3 playoffs moving forward. So there are still some priority picks left open as the first 6 bans have rolled through. Terra, Odin round out the first 3 bans for the Valhalla Valkyries. Geb, Artio, Loki, first 3 for the Kings. So you take a shot at Johnny. I guess, I think that makes sense. The Camelot Kings getting something away from a player who really likes to get out to early starts for the Valhalla Valkyries. Cthulhu comes to mind here.
I'm thinking Sylvanas.
Sylvanas has been very good, very strong, important really for genetics. Gets a little bit of a buff there.
Yeah, I think genetics has looked really good on that pick. It just gives you such dual lane pressure. It shores up your left side of the map. It's really good at brawling in the early game. It doesn't fall off super hard late because of the changes to the passive and how quickly you get back all of your cooldowns in the late game. It's not uncommon to be able to ult to pick someone out and then go to fire and then ult to finish the firefight.
Right.
You can oftentimes get those pretty quickly back to back. So I really like Sylvanas. I do think, speaking of gods that are somewhat counterable, I do think Sylvanas is one of them, but less so than he used to be. And with Odin off the board already, then that's one of the primary predators of that you don't really love. So I think I'd be okay with Sylvanas' first pick here for the Kings.
Has been picked twice in the last 6 for genetics, won both of those games. And so that certainly would be a good start here for the Camelot Kings. Taking their time thinking about this one. Odin for Ducky was a good, strong pick, but Ducky has not played the Odin in recent matchups, something that has been identified against them. So all of this waiting, and we're just going to get down to the Sylvanas anyway. Good eyes there from Aggro and good thinking. The Valhalla Valkyries, for some of the same reasons we said the Kings have a wealth of opportunity in their first pick, the Valks now have a good chance to answer back. That said, the Valkyries break from the standard meta from time to time, specifically around the mid lane, sometimes in their support pick, sometimes in their jungle picks as well. And so maybe you get something for Ducky here that feels good. There's still some priority then in the solo lane.
Yeah, you could go Cthulhu in this spot. I wouldn't mind that for Ducky. I mean, Variety certainly could pull out the Cthulhu, though I don't know if he's played it at all recently. The Valkyries, I feel like, are the team that is probably the hardest to lock down what they're going to do in these picks and bans, because they just have the capability of pulling out a lot of different stuff. And like you said, they've been trying a lot of different things. I think Soul top 2 is really strong. It has good flex potential. You can put it mid or duo. I think it's good in both places. I think this god is just generally very strong and provides pressure wherever she goes. So I'm a big fan of picking Soul early because I don't think she has many bad matchups.
No.
And she has some pretty good flexibility.
And Stone of Foul.
And Stone of Fall is a really good item.
That's right. I got to make sure I pronounce that right. Is it fall? Or is this like caramel style of thing? Tomato?
No one says caramel. Or tomato. In America, no
That's
one
true.
says
No one says tomato.
Right. Or caramel.
I say caramel.
Why?
Because I don't know, that's the way I say it.
Caramel.
Is it foul or fall, though, is what I'm getting at.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know. You're the
I feel like
you're the linguist expert, right?
I'll do some research. Give me a minute,
appreciate
I suppose. Yeah, go ahead and do some recapping for me.
No, you wondered if Variety had played Cthulhu at all recently. The last game of the regular phase in Phase 3, Variety did play Cthulhu up against the Valkyries. 503, so it was a good Cthulhu game for Variety there. And then it lost to the Leviathans on Cthulhu in the first matchup of Group A, 0-4-2. So some good, some bad from Variety and Cthulhu here as of late. But the Valhalla Valkyries, they are prioritizing their ranged damage, 1 mid, 1 hunter, we assume, unless there's some weird flexibility in here that we don't know about. But it looks like it'll be zeros on Soul mid and Emilito on Heimdall over there in the hunter role.
Yeah, I think that this is overall a completely fine top 2. I mean, yes, you lose some of that flexibility potential, but it is still 2 safe backliners that give you some good pressure. You know, this doesn't. It does make you a team that's very good at pushing objectives, both burning Fire Giant and Gold Fury and pushing towers, but overall it doesn't reveal too much about how to counter what you're going to do. So I'm never going to criticize a Soul Heimdall top 2. I think it's totally fine. Nope. On the other side, getting Nike and Tiamat, you know, Nike providing that late game passive while still being able to bully the lane early, make some good rotations. Nike just kind of does her thing. Having that barrier formation up against 2 auto attackers is really nice. That we probably don't give Nike enough credit for, is just throwing up that shield and making it so that she's not taking any sort of return damage from those characters while the rest of the team is coming to help her. I think is really good. And then Tiamat for Big Man Tings is Tiamat for Big Man Tings. That's scary. Yeah, I'm glad that, and this is another waiting room discussion, I'm glad that BMT back in the last few games on more standard mages. I mean, look, I liked his look at Sun Wukong mid in the sense that, you know, if somebody's going to play it, I think Big Man Ting's certainly capable. But did look much better, I think, against the Leviathans on that Tiamat pick, and so that's great for the Camelot Kings. The Valhalla Valkyries add some safety into their draft here as well. Khepri, absolutely an annoying pick to go up against here. And so you talk about delaying fights, giving yourself a second wind, or even opening up Johnny to the ability to dive in, play a little bit more aggressively, get that ball rolling post level 5. Khepri seems to be a good pick here for the Valhalla Valkyries. I imagine we're going to start to see some jungle bans rolling through in the last 4, both teams still needing theirs, we assume. And so Daji and Serket will both take a ban. Yeah, I think that here you like the Khepri pick. It solidifies your backline even more, just sets you up. I like Khepri into Sylvanas a lot because he does not deal with that ranged route well at all. You don't have to commit it with the Abduct even. You can just go, you just toss that Solar Flare, root him in place. Really easy to punish him for that. I like the Khepri pick into what I'm seeing here from the Kings. But I would be... I don't know that Twig is going to be playing something like Thanatos, and with Nike locked in, Achilles isn't a big of a concern. I think Achilles is pretty good right now, but probably not good enough to see jungle play. So I don't know if the Kings are going to be able to grab one of those premier executes in order to take out this Scarab's Blessing. Twig has played, you know, a lot of different picks, as I've mentioned. One of them is not Achilles or Thanatos in the last 6 games, at least. Been a little bit more standard as far as the jungle goes. Daji was one of those He used to play a lot of Thanatos, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I believe I was just talking about the Season 3 finals with Mifflin after Gore's
He remembered that far back.
Oh, God, no. No, I had to explain to him what was happening in that. Yeah, no, that's what was going on. And they picked Thanatos a lot, but it was for variety in solo lane at the time. But I do believe that Twig played it a good amount then as well. I think it was a flex pick for them, if my memory isn't failing. Well, talk to me about this Gilgamesh now, aggro. You know, since 8.9 faded out a little bit. Gilgamesh was massive priority in the jungle for the start of Phase 3. Has slowed down here a little bit as of late. Jungle seems to be his popular spot, though we have seen a Gilgamesh solo once or twice. Let's assume this is jungle for the time being. Is this a pick you like for Johnny? Yeah, I like Sylvanas, or I like Gilgamesh in general. You know, it's a character that, again, can punish Sylvanas pretty well. I love the Jingwei pick against the Gilgamesh because that drop kick, you can just agility right away and you're safe. So I like that pick. I think Gilgamesh is good. You know, we've seen it a lot more recently with the dragons and combining it with the Terra just in order to get that insta-proc on the Terra ultimate. Then making sure that you're getting it on those carries really consistently. I think Gilgamesh is generally good. I think that he's still a pretty good pick.
Brain didn't register. I just assumed it was Emilito's soul. Yeah, Emilito likes that pick a lot, but Emilito generally likes going for safe picks, so both of these could have fit his playstyle relatively well. And to speak to that as well, you said they didn't look so good earlier in the last couple of weeks. That kind of applies to both of these teams.
Yeah, that's true.
Both of them really hungry to find a win here today, and I think both have got some good traps for it. That said, I gotta favor the Camelot Kings, man. It just feels like the cohesion of this draft, the late game presence, the healing from genetics, the scaling throughout the early on. I know Aggro said that you're not really concerning yourself too much so with the Camelot Kings.
Speaking of variety, since I did that World's First Blood, Variety has one on tier, and I'm pretty sure it was mostly a solo kill.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, good for you, Variety.
Nice little tidbit. Look, that information's going to be burned in my brain. It took me 2 hours, I think, total to get the spreadsheet together.
Good
what
pull.
a great pull from Genetics. They get the damage on Emilito, but it's not enough to get the kill. Once again, the Bifrost is enough to make sure that there's enough distance. But it is all aggression from the Kings in the duo lane right now.
Luckily for Emilito, goes for Death's Toll with that starter item, so some sustain coming from the auto attacks. Cleave autos from Heimdall, going to get decent value from Death's Toll, but he's out of potion, so these next couple of pulls, well, the first one might drop him low, the second one could potentially kill, and Raph, still 2 levels off 5, can't really give you a safety net, not just yet.
That is the 1-2 punch, right? Like, 1 is drop him low, 2 is kill him dead. As long as you can get those, it's pretty solid for you. Raffer attempting to salvage this purple buff, won't be able to do so, or no, will be able to do so, as he helps scoop that up for his team. Now Genetics is rooted. And so the Invade still get a little bit of experience if you're Genetics and Netroid. But you get the buff for Emilito, and that's honestly a huge win considering the amount of pressure they've been under.
Yeah, he walked into it there. As Big Man Tings pushed against the wall, loses out on the beads. Should still have that leap available. Johnny, though, he's on the chase.
Oh, wow, and there's going to be a root, but there's that dash. Just enough to get the space, but Big Man Ting's in trouble, low health. Johnny and Raffer maybe biting off more than they can chew. They're going to go ahead and fall back. Tings takes a little bit extra damage at the tail end of it. Twig is still hanging around. He just ticked over to 5, so that ult is available.
And survives an engagement where Zero's lands actually everything, where he takes a fully channeled abduct. I mean, that's nearly best case scenario for the Valhalla Valkyries, finding an isolated Sylvanas and still not able to hit pay dirt.
He was aggressive a lot earlier. Now it looks like that's going to pay off in the duo. No, he misses the root, goes for the knock-up in the ult. There's the pull, and there's some crits from Netroid. Finds a lot of damage, rings true, but Emilito walks out one more time. There's so many people have gotten close to death this game, and yet no one has teetered on to the great beyond.
Netroid's the luckiest player in the league. I just saw it. Double crit off explosive bolts only. That's Devourer's Gauntlet's Aussie. He doesn't have any in the build. Yeah, Netroid is incredibly lucky. If I'm Emilito in comms right now, it's like, okay, roll my eyes.
Johnny seemed like he was in trouble, leaped over the wall. We're going to have Netroid still getting aggressive. There's a dropkick for the disengage.
Nice pull!
And a great pull. Twig finally able to find first blood. Genetics making sure to set it up for his team. And now Zeros and Raffer just have to back off. They can't fight anymore.
Raph has to go on full retreat, but the 4-stack at the Camelot Kings on the left-hand side could net them the largest separation. Gold Fury pulled out. Raffer, you're on the way out, but you got to come back.
Raffer sees it, and Emilito's here as well. Zeros hovering around the mid lane, but opts not to walk this way. Gold Fury, 1/3 of its health bar remains. And it doesn't seem like anyone from the Valkyries is going to be able to get here in time. A good zone from Big Man Tings. Ends up taking a little bit of damage in the process, but there's the healing. There's the Gold Fury, and the Kings get first blood plus an objective.
Big Man Tings jumped in aggressive up against Emilito. Should have at least had his beads forced out there, but Raffer wasn't close enough to look for the abduct, wasn't close enough to attempt the steal either. Attempts another steal, this time on the purple buff, but maybe playing with fire. I don't love him standing here. If he gets hit by that pull, he's dead.
Maybe too close for comfort, especially as you can see at 3 levels, separating the carry and the support here. Normally not a big deal. But he's only got that Thebes online, not a lot of health to work with. Valkyries are going to try to reply in kind. That Gold Fury goes down towards the Kings. They're going to start up the Pyromancer. I do see Variety walk his way over here. Valkyries still manage to secure it. That is going to be the Sentinel of Zeus drop. Variety chasing down Ducky currently, goes in for the leap, and he's got backup on the way. Twig's going to arrive.
Rip.
Johnny's incredibly low. One shot is all it takes, but he procs the res from Raffer, and that's going to be enough to save the life. Now Twig is too deep and has nothing to save him the same way, and he's going to go down.
That is an Omega choke from young Twig. You got to hit the first one. Had he done so, would have gotten the kill. Variety now in some trouble, trying to get aggressive on the map, and Ducky going to punish him for it. At least drop him down to about 20% HP and steal away some of those games like this. It's the largest separator that you could hope for. Maybe we see some engagements around them, but both teams have been kind of pacifist running it in that if somebody shows up, they don't like taking the fight. Maybe that changes here. Emelito takes a lot of damage. Netroid doesn't have the chase potential. Is just going to push some minions into the tower.
Still no built-in crit for Netroid, so if we see any of those numbers, it's just the explosive bolts.
Crazy.
There's a Wind Demon on the other side. Ikaval is not an item I expected to see today. We'll see what happens here. Genetics with a great ult to counter out the ult that came from Emelito, who is uncomfortably low behind his tier 2 tower right now. He's going to have to play it safe. He's channeling his back. We'll see if he can get it off. It seems like it's going to be just fine.
Are they taking the
But
tier
that
2?
tier 2 is getting pressured. Tier 1 and mid is where the Valkyries are putting their eyes. And it seems like 3 members of the Kings are going to respond.
They're going to take it.
We've got Variety, Twig, Tings here. And Netroid and Genetics having the time of their lives. The tower going to try to help out here. Twig is in a little bit of trouble, but he's going to get some damage returned. There's the Scarab's Blessing. And ultimately, Zeros picks up the kill onto Twig. They trade out his life for a tier 2 tower. In the tier 1 and mid, it's a weird Scales of Fate thing here.
Yeah, but one team came out ahead, and there was no lead beforehand. Now 1,000 gold, about 1,400 for the Camelot Kings, and potentially more if Emelito's out of position, and he is.
Oh, there's going to be the Bifrost channels, and that's enough for him. He does have to use both his relics to survive throughout all of that. But he gets out of there, and you know what? He got the purple buff.
He sure did.
Ultimately, isn't that still a loss because he used both of his relics? Feels bad.
Gold lead for the Camelot Kings. Experience largely even across the board as well. No level disparities because there's only 300. Make that 80 experience separating those two teams. This match is dead even. 17.5 minutes in.
The ward coverage may be the most important thing going into the next fight, and a lot of wards deep for the Valkyries on the left-hand side. Theoretically, should be able to catch out and sniff out a Primal Fury if it gets started up by the Kings. And they are moving into position. It's going to be the Valkyries that want the fight. They're going for Twig almost immediately. He's half health. He's up in the air thanks to the King Arthur. They are looking for the blood, and they're going to be able to find it. Ducky, credit for the kill. Twig, not able to do anything for this fight.
Yeah, Twig not able to do much this entire game. He's 100% of the deaths for the Camelot Kings, and he gets to spend 100% of the next 40 seconds on the grayscale. The Valkyries, huge advantage.
Now they're trying to press that advantage the best they can. Variety
Good pull.
gets abducted, pulled into the rest of the team. He's about half HP, and he's going to use that Sentinel of Zeus. No, not. It's going to give you the shield proc from the Bulwark, keeping him alive, and that's going to allow him to disengage, but it's the Valkyries pressing the go button. They're trying to get aggressive. Good pull from Genetics, gets Raffer pulled in. The knockup is good, but the follow-up damage doesn't exist. The Camelot Kings don't have enough to work with here. Soon enough, Twig will be respawning. If they can keep this fight going, maybe he can have an impact, but it's 10 seconds plus travel time. That's going to be a disengage. Emelito had to use his ult to pull away, and what a good pull from Genetics. Keeps Ducky in the fight, but seems like that's better for the Valkyries. The damage turnaround is in favor of Ducky. He's looking for Genetics, and he's looking for the kill. Will be able to find it, and that is another one picked up for the Valks.
Yeah, Ducky says, oh, you want me here? Oh, word. I've been trying to get into your back line this entire engagement. Double stun from the King Arthur for the Valhalla Valkyries to pick up yet another kill on the tail end of this engagement. But as you highlighted, Captain Twig has had an opportunity to respawn and rejoins the engagement around the Primal Fury. It's the Camelot Kings going for the pull.
Twig gets aggressive. He recognizes, you know what, I might be 1-3, but I can still get something done in terms of zoning. The rest of the Valkyries have backed off. Variety going for a wide zone. Ducky walks forward. Primal Fury secured by the Kings here. But it is the Valkyries that are looking for more once again. Netroid's low. Twig is low. He's going to heal up off the camp, but Netroid gets caught out. A good stun from Ducky. Maybe the return damage actually is too much. Netroid just kills him outright and punishes him for trying to do King Arthur things. And now it looks like Raffer's going to follow the same fate. Scarab's Blessing procced there by Variety. Maybe didn't need to, but it doesn't matter. They're going to have the follow-up damage to find the kill anyway. Maybe I got ahead of myself. Variety needs to close this out. Raffer has no health, no mana to work with, but no one can chase him down. And he's going to walk out of there alive, and that's more than you can say for Variety. He is teetering on the edge of death and channeling him back in a very precarious spot.
Big man Tings dash forward to try and finish off the kill onto Raffer, but it's unsuccessful in doing so. The Valhalla Valkyries just reset a little too hard after that initial engagement. They essentially win 2 fights before the Primal Fury is actually pulled out. And the first so far, you're right to say it, man. He deserves all the credit you can give him because he's doing so much for his squad right now. The only one out damaging on him or on his own team is Ducky, and that's a solo laner, so I don't count. Maybe about, let's say 9,000 of that damage was in lane just poking, so after that, not that impactful. Variety takes a good deal of damage here. No, I take it back. 10% of his HP gone, and that's going to be healed up pretty quickly. Variety could do no wrong.
Oh, Genetics, on the other hand, might be in a little bit of trouble. The Winsless Shamas have slowed him down. There's the Scarab's Blessing onto Johnny. It's going to keep him alive. And there's that teleport that finally comes through in favor of Twig. But it's not going to be enough. Well, I guess it is enough to actually get him the kill. It's just not enough to do the other thing he wanted, which is solidify the kill, because there's it. Well, we like to call it Scarab's Blessing. It keeps him alive.
Well, at least you're close by, so you can keep the engagement going. Does pick up the kill onto Ducky, and the engagement steep keeps going. The Camelot Kings, they're diving deep.
Yeah, Variety trying to lead the way. The rest of the team joins them here under the Tier 1 tower in mid. They knock it down, and they do it pretty well. They managed to get out of this one unscathed. They get a kill to boot, close up that kill lead that the Valkyries had by 1. And now Variety still potentially looking for more. I don't know how much of this he wants to fight and how much of it is he's just is fighting. It's a good zone either way. Raffer and Zeros occupied with the solo laner for the Kings. The rest of the Kings taking that Fire Giant, secure it for the entirety of them. And now they're going to continue knocking down these towers and looking for another fight.
This is the Camelot Kings MO. All right, we're 20 minutes in. We've spent the majority of the time just farming the map. All right, let's take one fight, one small win, one little edge, nets them. The largest neutral objective on the map. Variety, though, has dropped low, doesn't have the ultimate available, but Zeros is just peppering damage. There's no way this chase goes their way.
Whew, almost able to connect a pull there for Genetics. Seems like that should be enough to slow down. This is surprising. The person farthest forward on the Kings is Netroid, still looking for a fight. And it seems like he's finally getting reined in.
Into their favor, I think the Kings are fine with a slower pace.
Got 2 minutes left on the power play for them. And they're grouping up on the left-hand side. Seems like that is the interested Phoenix for the Kings. They're going to go ahead and start getting aggressive on it. A little bit of damage here and there, but not a lot done to the Phoenix. More has been done to Imolito. He's at half health. Variety's in the back. Sentinel Zeus gets dropped. The slow is wide, and it manages to connect on all 3 members of the Valkyries present. A lot of damage dumped into Zeros as well. The carries for the Valkyries forced to back away, and the Phoenix is still taking damage. They've got a minion wave joining them. This should make it a lot more easy work for the Kings.
It should. There's the Frenzy Pop. Raffer dropped low. The Valkyries trying their hardest.
Oh, there's the Scarab's Blessing. Saves Raffer's life. Doesn't save the Phoenix. They managed to burn that one down. Damage onto Netroid and Genetics. They've got healing, though, and that's going to help pay him off. Raffer's ult down. Zeros is in trouble, but maybe it's Variety who jumps in too deep. Doesn't have the ult. And doesn't have his life anymore. Goes way too far and eats way too much. Netroid barely makes it out alive here. The Wisp's going to be necessary to keep the carries going. Johnny, low, Twig trying to find his way in and do what he can. There's going to be the ult, and he finds the ticks, gets the kill, but he might trade out his life. No, it's a double kill with the help of Netroid as he takes down Imolito. Now it's Zeros, who is a fish out of water. Big Man Tings gets takes him down, and now they can just run into the Titan room.
Just as Variety drew it up, we thought it was an overextension, a leap in with no ultimate. Well, that was true, and he does cost his own life, but 3 members of the Valhalla Valkyries, a Tier 2 tower, and a Phoenix, a worthwhile trade. If you ask me, potentially notch another Phoenix onto that list.
They've got 30 seconds before anybody starts to respawn, so it's a 2v4 the entirety of this time. No Variety, maybe slowing things down. Minions with Tiamat leading the way on left. They're going to pour ahead into the Titan room, but the damage is onto Ducky. Thorns is getting a little bit of retaliation, but Netroid gets credit for the kill. Now you've got even longer to work with before you've got a full force Valkyries. The Titan half health. Kings take game number 1. Raffer can't do anything about it.
But Gore, I'm not convinced. I don't speak for Twitch chat or the analyst desk, but I am not fully convinced of it.
To the deep, and it kind of sets off a chain reaction in order to keep the game going in their favor.
No way.
Genetics, excellent on the Sylvanas as per usual. Netroid was good on this Jingwei. I thought Captain Twig had a good game on the Tsukiyomi, despite the early to mid, or I guess the mid game, not really going his way. And that's the thing about this Kings team is that they just aren't gonna stomp you out. And when you're a team like the Valkyries, who have gotten better in the early game, but have also gotten stomped in some early games, I think the Kings are one of their better matchups because at least they're going to get to go to late. You know, at least they're going to have an opportunity more often than not to have some even late game team fights. So I think that I want to see this Valkyries team not get too low on themselves. You know, Ducky had his head in his hands after he got killed by Netroid after that gold. You got to stay kind of even keel because I think that there's a real potential for them to be able to come back in this set.
Every once in a while, Aggro, the stage we set just kind of comes to fruition perfectly, right? And that's kind of what it's literally what happens.
It's really hurting you, huh?
God, it is pain.
You went top seed in the AFC.
Yep, in the not the North, just the whole AFC, and then we get stomped by the Jets.
Unbelievable.
We got a chance against the Browns this weekend. My other takeaway is this, and I'm glad production zoomed in on it, is regardless of the way their games go, Ducky has a strong support system in place, whether it's the Husky that we saw in the bed last week or this adorable creature that looks just so cozy.
I wish that were me. Right now.
Right. Doesn't that sound nice? This is a glimpse into my life. I have a nice body pillow that I put on my bed, and for some reason that's like Ramsey's go button to, like, she wedges herself like up underneath it, like similar to how that cat looks, like she makes herself into a small little ball.
Yeah.
There's something about the body pillow that she just loves, but I just think she looks so comfortable.
I know.
And that cat.
It's
looks
getting colder, you know.
Right.
I want to stay in bed.
Maybe we just bring blankets into the studio.
Okay.
We wrap up and
I've got a really big weighted blanket. It's too
You're a
small.
weighted blanket guy?
I'm a huge weighted blanket guy. It's too small for us to share it on the desk.
Well, I could slide my chair over
but
there.
If we slid over, it would fit. It's
like
queen
on
size.
one. This is a 3-piece desk.
Yeah.
You know, we could share one piece with the weighted blanket.
100%. We could probably share two.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if I want to be in the last segment over there?
Fine by me.
All right, sweet. That works for me. Let's jump into the important segment, and that's the picks and bans for game number 2. And the Valhalla Valkyries have stuck with similar band presence. Olerun, Terra, Odin, all taken away. On the other side, Khepri is the big pivot here. I think King's smart to keep taking away Loki from Johnny. It's been a strong pick and an early game presence that is already strong for Johnny. Just feels a little bit better when he's able to grab that Loki pick. That being said, the Khepri pivot leaves something else open, and it is the Geb this time around. And we liked the Sylvanas for genetics. I think the Geb is also a pick that has worked for this Camelot Kings team.
Yeah, Geb is a god that you should just pick, period, because teams don't seem to be on that same page, to my surprise. But the Kings, think about how long they took on their first pick of the Sylvanas. You know, they were running down the bank time. We were burning the midnight oil.
I haven't gotten the Hindu Man update in a little while, because I remember he was very concerned when Geb got the buff. Because he's been a Geb truther for
Since
years
long before you started.
Right? And so I haven't gotten the Hindu Man update on whether or not he's happy with the... Well, he's happy because Geb's good. But he also liked underrated Geb because, you know, there was never any concern for nerf. So
maybe he is still underrated because teams aren't first picking him when given the opportunity at times. I think that means he's underrated because I think he is where he should be right now. Well, he should be in the ban column.
Every god in the games, we have no bans. Aliens have the death beam pointed at Earth. Half-court shot to win the game.
Andre Iguodala. A.K.A.
Geb. Is Geb your Iguodala?
Yeah, Geb. Well, no, because that would be wrong then. Right. But yeah, Geb is the best god in the game by my estimation.
All right, there you go. Soul Izanami is the answer here for the Valhalla Valkyries. Still sticking with the Soul, changing things up in the Hunter department instead of the Heimdall. Did you see enough? I don't know. It's always hard. I was going to ask if you saw enough out of the Soul to feel some confidence, but I think it's difficult when the game goes the way it does for the Valkyries to put all that much stock in that individual game one. You got to look more at the overall resume of Soul. Maybe keeping a couple hyper carries late game on your team is the way to go.
Yeah, I think that, look, I mean, they went Soul Heimdall last time. I went on this whole spiel about how locking in your backline that early isn't too bad. I think it's fine. I feel the exact same way that I did last game, that I am unoffended by Soul Izanami as your top two. I think that those are both strong. You get yourself a good backline. But not yet have I seen anything from the Valkyries that's going to adjust the way that these fights should go, because you've gotten a significantly better late-game Guardian in Geb. I think Sylvanas better early. Getting the Izanami away from the Kings to make sure they don't get Geb Izanami, which is probably the strongest duo lane right now because Izanami erases all of Geb's weaknesses in the laning phase. She just clears by herself, so you don't need that help. I want to see the Valks pick a pressure Guardian, because if you let this Geb get to late, I think you have made it... You haven't lost,
right?
But you have made it a lot harder to win. So if I were on the Valkyries, I would be talking about what gets us pressure in duo. How do we make sure that they don't get pressure in duo? And then how do we play around the left side of the map? Because that's where the Valkyries, you gotta try and take this Geb out of the game.
And King Arthur ends up getting picked a little bit earlier on this time. I remember that was something we talked about in picks and bans last time, where you're waiting till the last pick to pick the King Arthur, so a little bit of a change there. Ducky's not alone, though, in the cute animal department. I believe that was Twig's right shoulder that we were looking at there.
It was.
He has a nice cat hanging out in the background. It feels like we've seen an increase in the pet viewings on camera here recently, where in the past we've seen like the cat towers and things like that, but no cats to be seen. I'm happy now that we're starting to get a little bit more pet presence.
Yeah, keep it
on
up.
Screen. And that maybe scratches the itch that you had there, Aggro. Sobek getting locked in here for the Valhalla Valkyries. You feel like you're able to get some pressure with that pick.
Yeah, you got to pluck the Geb, though. That's the problem, is that if you pluck anyone else, even with the ping that he's dealing with, I think Genetics is a good enough player to shield a pluck on reaction and be able to just stuff that out entirely. So Sobek is one of those picks.
Whoa.
I really feel like one of my favorite picks up against Geb is something like Athena, where typically you would think, oh, we don't want to pick hard CC into a cleanse shield, but I just want to kill that guy. I want to kill the Geb. That is the most important thing to me. And so Sobek does that same style. I think that if the Valkyries are playing it properly, it should be hard focusing the Geb in the early stages, pick him out of position, make sure that we can isolate him and set him behind, and then hopefully that's enough to be able to carry us through the team fights.
Now this is unique here, Aggro. Not the Gilgamesh lock-in, but the Apollo lock-in immediately on the back end. It's been, what, almost a full year now since we saw heavy Apollo priority. It was right around this time of year last year, late in the season, where it was the double global ultimate Ratatosker Apollo that we saw come to the forefront. And so Apollo, admittedly, Aggro raises my eyebrows here, but I think I saw personal eyebrow raise on the other pick. The Hunbats locked in here for the Valkyries.
We're having fun.
Not my...
It's not as fun when you can't see us, though.
Yeah, you know what?
Don't
Don't worry about it.
We need more empty caskets to put aggro in, things like that. That's what we need around the stat. We're very big on prop comedy.
All right, Mike, you heard it. We want a treasure chest worthy of prop comic
I thought you meant
Top.
like an actual treasure chest, and I was going to say we could just have a mimic on set. I got excited.
Okay, and the treasure chest has to be both sapient and sentient so that it can, fulfill the role of a mimic. I agree with what the desk was saying a little bit earlier. I'm sure that Raph is very much so trying to establish pressure early on, and that's a blink-for-blink trade. Genetics forced to use it defensively. Raffer, offensively. If this Sobek doesn't hit the ground running late game, who are you plucking? Maybe Big Man Tings. He's pretty survivable. Netroid, ideally. But outside of that, not really any great targets.
Aggro had highlighted his potential, something we wouldn't put it past specifically Genetics to do, although right now it's not happening. Netroid's one hit
One
away.
more.
All you
One
need to do
more.
is find the autos, but they're just shy. Finally, Emilito hits it at the tail end under the tower, gets his first blood, 1 minute, 10 seconds in.
Yeah, Netroid dashed aggressively against a Sobek Izanami lane? Probably not.
And they ate that
Ideal.
a lot lane. So it really is the one place that maybe things are going to change a lot. Johnny as well on the Hunbats. Maybe expect to see him get impactful around that level 5 mark. Right now it is Raffer and Emilito driving forward their duo lane. And Johnny, as well as Zeros, stealing away a red buff. That might honestly cost Genetics a little bit more. No, they're not going to follow up for the damage. Zeros instead is the one who's getting chased down right now. Twig trying to close the gap. Will get a couple of autos. He's slow. They get the beads. And that's going to be enough for them to pull back.
Should be, but that red buff still stands for the Valhalla Valkyries, although successful in stealing it away from the Kings looking to pay it forward here.
They're going to get aggressive. Hey, they are able to trade red for red. And that's going to be the retreat from Twig, retreat from Genetics. But a good pluck from Raffer keeps Genetics engaged on this. Shield's going to come up. He's level 3. Doesn't have a Cataclysm. Doesn't have much to get out of here. Rollout channeled. And he hits that CC immunity. Gets on out of there. Stays alive just barely. Now Twig is back into the engagement. No mana to work with for Johnny, and Zeros is low. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be enough to open up a kill for the Kings.
Maybe a blink pluck could be enough. Genetics slowed down here. One more auto from Zeros is all it's going to take, but this guy moves weird. Eventually does fall down. Soul notches the second for the Valhalla Valkyries, off to a quick start.
Deja vu, very similar to what happened for First Blood, was really low, a couple of autos go wide, and you're starting to get nervous for the Valkyries. They find the kill either way. 1,200, 1,300 gold lead now that they've picked up in 4 minutes. They have mentioned it, though. The Kings like to play late and, admittedly, not necessarily caring too much how far behind they are, although a much better start for the Valkyries this time around. If they can get even half the team fights they were able to in game number 1, this could be a really, really brilliant game from them. And so far, it's just been an interesting pace from Raffer. This Sobek is night and day more impactful than what we got to see out of the Kepri.
Yeah, I am loving this aggressive style from Raffer, setting up all of these engagements, playing annoying early rotations into the mid lane. And then now Genetics trying to pay that one forward, may have cost himself a little too much, pushed into the wall.
Yeah, that's going to be the lockdown. One more hit. Zeros able to find a second kill onto the support, but now it's Zeros low and danger. Has to use the last of his mana to get on out of there, but he's going to be able to stay alive. Same thing can be said for Johnny. 2 ults down on the side of the Valkyries. They still get another kill.
They do. Zeros and Johnny low here. The Camelot Kings falling behind mightily, and that is exactly what they've done up until this point. Get a good look back now at how it's panned out. It was an aggressive dash that immediately cost Netroid his life and his beads, and then since then, the Valhalla Valkyries have been utilizing this draft incredibly well. The Camelot Kings are not out of it by any stretch. 2,000 gold doesn't feel great, but they're not out of reach, and they've got some great power spikes coming up. Winds of Shamash starting to become available at this point in the game, as well as the Cataclysm from Genetics to allow him to play a little bit more aggressively. I think the Camelot Kings haven't done the best job of biding their time, but they're almost to the point where they can start fighting back.
You know, in 2 of these deaths, this one as well as the first blood, feel like they were kind of self-inflicted, right? Like at any given time, especially with Johnny about to have his ult back up.
Luckily, Genetics does just now tick over to level 5, so if it is a pluck from Raffer, he's delivering a Cataclysm to his own backline. This is the lead we were talking about, though, in the long lane. Emilito, 2 levels up over Netroid, 9 to his 7, and playing on the tower line, 1 auto attack, 10%.
Emilito's gonna take that.
Yeah, I wouldn't step up again if I were you, Netroid. Learn your lesson. Emilito pushing another wave into the tower.
Now, honestly, at this point, happy the Dark Portal isn't available. He's going to move forward, and yeah, he's got the minions with him. The damage is good. Just shy. Genetics is making his way over here. Look, 1 Geb versus, I see 3 members of the Valkyries over here. I guess we do have Twig hovering around in the jungle just in case. It still doesn't feel like it's going to be a great trade. Johnny goes in, takes a purple buff, and is able to leap out, runs to Raffer for some safety. There's the Winds of Shamash. They're trying to get rid of this tail whip. And there's the Cataclysm, but it's not going to be able to find enough. Instead, it is going to be the interrupt and everything you could want from Raffer to make sure that his carry and his jungler get out alive.
Perfect peel from Raff there, but Zeros, man, put himself out of position.
Luckily, he's Soul, so he's just out of position and now back into a good spot thanks to Disapparate. Takes a little bit of damage. Variety continues chasing him. I heard the Fear No Evil, and that's going to be enough to lock down Netroid, get a kill. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Those Zeros goes down, and now Johnny's low. Johnny's incredibly taken down, but he's able to walk back a good jump, and he's able to juke and outfind himself a double kill. They trade 2 for 2. Genetics falls down with a rotation from Emilito, and ultimately the Valkyries come out on top, leading 6 kills to 2.
Variety doesn't have the ultimate available to put himself in a bad position. A pluck here from Raffer could do a good deal of damage to this Nike, but just off the mark. So that should spell the end of the engagement for the Valhalla Valkyries, but despite a sour note to end it, I'm sure they're very happy with how that one pans out. Red buff invade, purple invade, a couple of kills go their way as well. Zeros does lose out on his beads, as does Johnny. Blink loss from both the frontliners, Raffer and Ducky, but gold lead now expanded to 3,000.
Aggressive onto the blue buff, Ducky and Raffer. Raffer with no mana to work with, Ducky with very little to his name. And it's going to be a 3-on-2 engage from the Kings. They're trying to chase it down. Variety gets the silence. There's not enough CC to keep them locked up where they need them. Plus, it's the 2 front lines for the Valkyries. Feels like it's not going to amount to too much for the Kings. And they're going to have to just go ahead and write that one off.
And that should spell the end of this engagement. And with Pyromancer having not spawned just yet, the Camelot Kings can't do much with the pressure that they've established on the solo side of the map, and instead have to let this engagement fizzle out completely. The Valhalla Valkyries doing a good job so far of utilizing their pressure across the map. Gotta highlight Raffer's individual player. Maybe a solo kills. Variety drop low.
Yeah, Ducky's doing the work that is necessary. A good leap from Variety gets the disengage. And that thwarts all hopes of the solo kill between the 2 laners. Unfortunately, Twig is right here. A good dropkick just shy of being able to connect. Ducky is low still, though. No mana to work with. There's the Winds of Shamash. He gets a dash. A leap from Twig closes the gap. One more hit is all it'll take. But Twig's just shy. He goes just off the mark with an auto. And Ducky stays alive. Now the Valkyries take read of the map and go ahead and take heed of what they can do. Start of the Gold Fury. There's going to be a Cataclysm. There's a Fear No Evil. They're going to kill off Geb and kill off a Gold Fury to solidify even more of a lead.
Man, Genetics is just not getting the better end of these engagements.
They're playing without a support
right now. A level 6 Geb might as well not exist on the map. He's also only got 20 stacks on Thebes, so he's not tanky whatsoever. All Genetics can do in these engagements is blink in, drop Cataclysm, and hope that the stun itself is enough to set up for his team, because it's not the damage output, it's not the knock-up afterward. His Stone Shield is lacking mightily in points, so he doesn't get much utility from that either. He is an ultimate bot right now. Luckily, though, he's not worth very much. If he dies, who cares? He's respawning quick, and he's not giving up much.
Yeah, 0-4. Trying to bury him anymore isn't going to do too much. There's going to be the Fear No Evil once again onto Variety under the Tier 1. They kill him off. I thought they were going to chase down Twig, but they might just go ahead and take the 1 back away. 8 kills to 2. 12 minutes in, the Valkyries are really, really knocking this one home. They take down the Tier 1 and Right as well. That's going to be a fallback to a Pyromancer.
The Valkyries are doing a much better job through the group stages now of utilizing their lead. Throughout the regular season, it was, all right, we're 3K up. Let's just hoard our gold in our own Tier 1 towers. Now it's, hey, we're up a significant amount of gold. Let's go to these neutral objectives. Let's force some fights. Let's take some towers.
Really good chunk of change to have on your side, especially when you start looking at the itemization. A lot of Tier 2s, maybe even Tier 3s. Where the Kings are only able to afford Tier 1s as of right now. They're still going for the buff invades, not able to get that purple, but they're able to find Twig afterward. A good Fear No Evil locks him down, but it's not enough to get the kill. Just thwart him and get him out of this fight. Tings and Genetics forced to run away. Raffer trying to stay aggressive on them. A good pluck. Could potentially kill off the Geb one more time. Then you have to ask yourself, why bother when you can get something more worthwhile this Tier 1? There's the Cataclysm from Genetics. He's trying to get aggressive, saves the tower. There's the crash down from Netroid. He's trying to join the fight. Will be able to find some damage onto Zeros, but isn't going to be able to find a kill. Instead, Emilito rotating over. The pressure comes with the Izanami.
And here comes the damage as well, not only to the tower, but a Genetics Ducky behind.
And now they're just chasing him down. Genetics isn't going to be able to make it out of that one. Tossed back to the Wolves is Twig, and that's going to be a double kill for the jungler. Johnny putting 2 more up on the board.
Man, Valhalla Valkyries, when they've got a lead, they have learned how to play around it. Tier 1 towers stripped away, and that aggressive positioning we saw from Raffer was just for the tower.
2-level lead for both people in the duo lane, 1 level for a lot of other places, but 3 in the jungle. I mean, Johnny is the huge impact player right now.
Yeah, he's making his presence known on the map. Blink away from Variety should spell the end of this engagement from the Valhalla Valkyries, but a 5-man grouping on the right-hand side indicates to me that they don't care about the fight, they care about the fire, and we've seen how quickly these can burn.
Normally 18 minutes is that magic marker. It's 17, and they're starting up the Fire Giant. Variety jumps in, Sentinel Zeus onto 2. And it's going to be the carries at that. Emilito and Zero slowed down, wins the Shamash, trying to collapse him even more. Twig gets into the backline, but he gets eviscerated. Netroid lands to try and help out his jungler, and they're going to be able to find Emilito, but it's a double kill for Zeros that bites back. Netroid is low. Netroid is going to fall down. No!
Really?
He turns one more around. It's the Valkyries collapsing the Kings, doing everything they can. Raffer goes down. Johnny, last man standing for the Chaos side team, and there's nothing he can do.
The Valhalla Valkyries bit off more they could chew. Fire Giant this early on with the Camelot Kings so close by. The Valhalla Valkyries knew they were there. They had spotted out at least 3 members of the Kings on the right side jungle.
In favor of the Camelot Kings. And a lot of it is that knock-up. I mean, just beautiful disruption coming from Big Man.
Yeah, he does so much damage in this fight. He does a great job of peeling back. He made sure that Netroid was allowed to stick around a lot longer than I think any of us would have expected. He sat at about 20 HP for nearly 5 seconds thanks to that CC peel from Big Man Tings. And what does that net? Big Man Tings, not just a prettier slash line, now sitting at 3-1-2, but also a 2-level lead over Zeros, who had been maintaining about a 1 to 2 level lead the entire game. Up until this point, Tiamat, one of the late-game win conditions for the Camelot Kings, rapidly approaching full build, rapidly approaching level 20, could be the first one to tick over in the lobby.
You have to think Ducky, Raffer, Emil, all high bounties at that point. And anybody who scoops up those kills, yeah, you can bet they're going to be rewarded pretty well for their efforts. That goes over to PMT. Netroid's still a little bit behind. Emilito caught out over here on the left side, and that is going to be enough to find the kill. Netroid, Genetics, and Twig on the left-hand side kill off the Hunter one more time for the Valkyries, just for good measure. They lose the Pyromancer for that trade. One thing, small little pockets to hide in. And it's not going to be enough to change anything here for the Camelot Kings. They're still behind, but they're making strides forward every fight. That might end up getting corrected right here, right now. Genetics caught out. But it seems like the level 13 Geb has a lot more to say than the level 7 we were watching.
Yeah, only one level down now under Raffer, and has gone for a slightly more selfish build. Mantle of Discord in that second slot, going to go a long way to keep Genetics alive in these fights. I'd say he's just about even in survivability. Genetics is back in this game.
Kings had started up the Gold Fury, leashed it, sitting about 2/3 HP, and it's just fine. A good pluck onto Variety, pulls him into the back, but that might be where he wants to be. Doesn't drop the Sentinel of Zeus just yet. Instead, they're chasing down Raffer. Not going to be able to get the knock up from the leap. Raffer, CC immune, used lurking in the waters, and is now backing off. Gold Fury started up, this time by the Valkyries, as they're bouncing back and forth. Not going to continue holding on to that one. Leash it immediately. See what the Kings do in reply.
Johnny still has that ultimate available. D6 CC on the Genetics means that pluck doesn't work out, so he's allowed to just walk away. Raffer dedicating a good deal of his HP to look for that.
Still has Cataclysm, still has Blink. Now that Gold Fury's at half health, Genetics is going to be the one to watch. It gets leashed one more time. Valkyries
Johnny
trying to make a loop around. Johnny going into the back, finds Genetics. There's a 3-man Cataclysm. Fear No Evil is able to help lock that down. They pick up 1 kill, and now they're looking for a little bit more. Ducky's relatively low. Variety still standing forward for his team. Big Man Tings, Twig, go ahead and join the equation and join the fray. It's a 5v4. Make it a 5v3. Netroid back in base using his ult. Can go ahead and travel back over here. Gold Fury, 1/3 HP. Variety jumps in, gets a huge Sentinel of Zeus. Valkyries manage to secure the Gold Fury, and now it's whether or not they can get out. Ducky's low, needs one more hit. Variety is not able to find that, and he disengages. Zero is Mez, and Zeros is dead. And that's going to be 1 pickup for the Kings.
The Kings now, despite losing out on the objective, have got a decent opportunity to look towards the Fire Giant proper. It's 45 seconds left on Zeros. Maybe if they're able to take out Variety here, that's one way back in. Damage output's good from Johnny. Emilito trailing just behind, but Variety's got a team, and they're pretty close by.
Now Variety is just trying to stay alive, man, and there's the Fear No Evil.
Nice!
There's the kill, and what a follow-up from Johnny. But did he bite off more than he could chew? A great leap gets him out of there. Twig follows through, trades out 1 for 1, jungle for jungle, but it is so far favoring 3 for 2, with Netroid picking up a huge couple of kills, but finally taken out. Genetics is getting chased down. It is frontline v frontline as of right now. BMT trying to peel for his Geb. A good pluck right into the waiting arms of a King Arthur. It's just, can you get the kill before one of you dies? Raffer is getting chased by BMT. Can he get the kill is the biggest question. Finally finds it and makes it a 3 for 3, 4 for 3, because Zeros' death at the very beginning of that. What a wild ride.
That was a very long fight. That fight essentially starts at the Gold Fury and works its way all the way throughout the map, ending in the Camelot Kings Tier 2 mid-tower. Genetics.
Ward Vision is going to be the name of the game right now. A lot of red wards around the FG pit, a lot of blue wards catching any positioning the Valkyries are going to be in, notably exactly where we saw Variety catch out Emilito and Zeros last time around. They're going to go ahead and engage one more time. Cataclysm used by Genetics. There's the tornado coming down from Tings. They're trying to get the damage. Sentinel of Zeus is good to get the slow, but a lot thrown out on the side of the Valkyries. Still Fear No Evil available on the side of the Valkyries to try and get things going for them. Twig plucked back into danger. He's at half health, but it's going to be Ducky who ends up falling down. Fear No Evil helps isolate Variety and gets the kill. One more hit onto Twig, locks up the deal for Emilito, and it's 1 for 1, 2 for 1, favoring out the Valkyries right now. They're chasing down Tings. This would be a huge kill for them if they can keep him locked down, but it's just so difficult to burn through his health bar. Aegis used, and it seems to be enough so far to get him out of there. Not enough to be said for Netroid or for Genetics. Forced to run away. Johnny continuing the chase along with Genetics. They're going to keep going. Good pluck. Keeps him locked up, but a good shield keeps him healthy. Johnny knows where he's going, though, and he jumps immediately onto the mid laner. They get the deicide. They get themselves an FG.
Johnny is playing the game of the season right now. 10, 2, and 10 for the Valhalla Valkyries jungler, and you called it out during that engagement. Only 1 ultimate still available towards the tail end, but it was the most important one. Fear No Evil. He works his way across the entirety of the back camps. He goes all the way around the Camelot Kings to find a massive ultimate to separate the fight. He also finds Fire Giant for his team. All 5 members of the Valkyries get to put that one on their belt. Trades, or maybe 4 for 3 favoring the Valkyries. So now the Kings, when the game simplifies in a base defense situation, could potentially be able to stop this push from the Valhalla Valkyries. That said, the Valkyries, they're not playing the team fight game. They're playing the let's create space for our double hunter composition game. If Zeros and Emilito are allowed to make contact with these birds, thanks to the efforts of Ducky and Raffer, the birds are going to fall.
A missed pluck, or at least the beads burned, thanks to the pluck from Raffer. Damage being dealt to the right-hand Phoenix by the Valkyries. Variety Had that Bulwark shield, but it's going to disappear. So ultimately, just trying to stay alive is the name of the game for the Kings. See what they can do. Minions, not on their way just yet. It's going to be nothing but the Valkyries trying to move this one forward. Phoenix is 1/3 HP. It's dealing some damage to Ducky, though. A good pluck onto Genetics. Pulls him right back into the fray. There's a Fear No Evil, and there's a kill onto the support. Imelito, credit for that one. 5, 3, and 13 for the Hunter. And this Phoenix looks like it should go down.
Expensive kill, though. Just about every ultimate down for the Valhalla Valkyries, barring Duckies, and you only get Genetics in trade. That said, the Camelot Kings have got plenty of ultimates still available, Variety and Net.
Had to use the dash to disengage there. I was thinking something was about to pop off, but instead they're just going to stand at the Phoenix line and be not necessarily timid. They've got minions now, and they're going to go ahead and jump forward. Variety into the fray of all four. Sentinel Zeus gets dropped, and that health bar gets burned through quickly. He gets tossed back to the Sharks, and that's another kill for Imelito. They are going on a tear right now for the Valkyries, but Twig's able to pull one back, gets rid of Imel, and that is going to slow down this push. This Phoenix should go down still. It's a 2v4. Genetics respawns. I think that's going to be the retreat from the Valkyries.
Raffer low, as is Johnny, but they're setting an ambush across the wall. Johnny eats about 60% of his HP bar in half a second and says, you know what? I like the idea, guys. This ambush would be pretty sick, I gotta admit, but here's the thing about how I am deathly injured. I am. 40,000 damage from Big Man Tings.
Oh my god.
Is that real? He's nearly doubling up the second highest damage in the lobby. He's legitimately doubling up the highest damage of the Valhalla Valkyries highest. This Tiamat has done work, 6-2 and 2 as well. Got lost in the sauce for a second there. The Camelot Kings have not been winning, but Big Man Tings has.
Way too far back for this fight as of right now. Fire Giant started up. Variety jumps in. Sentinel Zeus gets dropped. And now the attention is all on him instead of the FG. There's the Fear No Evil. Spreads the front lines. Kills off Variety. And Imelito gets credit for that one. Genetics is low. But Imelito once again taken down by Twig. He finds an important kill. Genetics might get traded out here. But it is Twig and it is Netroid finding the damage. Netroid up onto the chariot. And it looks like he'll be able to disengage. But they got 2 important kills on the Valkyries to slow him down.
Nearly. Big Man Tings is able to find the beads and maintain his life here. But Raph has done 50% of the work now. Only the next pluck is going to be the most important, and it's going to be harder to come by as Big Man Tings will be positioned. I think if I had to choose one of them to have Fire Giant as far as dealing damage to a Phoenix, I'd probably give it to Zeros. Once you've got heat stacked up, he goes through these like a hot knife through butter.
Makes sense, Soul. Fire.
Oh, there it goes.
They're not butter on the other side. Phoenixes don't know what they're made of. Bird, I guess.
I think literally fire, man.
Damn, you know, that'd probably be right.
Yeah, I think it's literally fire.
Sense. They are fire. They turn to ash, though. We'll see. Either way, it is going to be the left side Phoenix burned away, and of course the mid Phoenix burned away. There's going to be the Fear No Evil, and that's a lot of damage onto Tings. But as we mentioned before, if you're going to do one thing as this Geb, it is shield him and keep him alive. And that's exactly what Genetics does.
Big Man Tings is able to reset himself, but as are the Valkyries, and they've got a goal that's pretty easy to keep in mind. Right side, Phoenix dropped down to half, and should be easy to finish off.
Minute left on the power play to work with here for the Valkyries. Up in the sky is Netroid, and he comes
dunk.
crashing down on Imelito, but maybe too deep. Imelito stays alive. Twig has taken a lot of damage, and Ducky's trying to chase him down, but it's Variety who comes in from the side and finds the kill that is necessary. Gets rid of the Hunter, and his team stays alive in the meantime. Johnny, forced thrown away, has no Fear No Evil, but it's going to be coming off cooldown soon, just has to stay alive. Gets the kill onto Variety. Now Tings, damage numbers, all we've been talking about, 47,000, and some of that is turning towards Zeros. Disapparate keeps him safe for a little bit, but can it keep you safe forever? No! Big Man Tings chases him down, but it's Johnny, Fear No Evil, back available. Aggression is the name of the game, and that's a big one.
That's a lot!
They get rid of Big Man Tings. That's a kill. That's a quadra kill for Johnny, and now Twig is all that stands between them and getting the Titan.
Give it up!
For one more kill, jump in, finds it, and gets himself the Penta, and wins the game for the Valkyries.
You might call them a must-win set, but they will not make it easy for you, specifically Johnny. 16-2 and 14 for the jungler. This Hunbots cannot be seen again today. You better ban it out.
More resilient in this game, and we obviously have to start with Johnny because the man Pentagon to end the game. He went absolutely off. I was pretty critical of the Hunbats pick in the early because of what it brought to the early game. Okay, thank you, I guess. The Hunbats pick I was worried about because of the early game, but Raffer and Imelito dominated the 2v2 so hard that it didn't need the help from Johnny, and then late game, Hunbats is fantastic. So obviously Johnny makes it work in that regard. Played really, really well in this game, was everywhere he needed to be. This Hunbats pick was fantastic. He played these fights so well. at the very end. So much fun to watch. Hunbat's such a dynamic character when it comes to the late game team fights. And he wins his team a game that was not guaranteed.
Nope.
Despite those Phoenixes being down. So Johnny goes up huge.
You're right. Not in any aspect. Wasn't guaranteed until the Titan fell down. There was pushback from the Camelot Kings, Big Man Ting specifically. But the pentakill is going to be our highlight at the end of the reel here. And we've seen plenty of quads that have ended up being stolen pentas by one team or another. I appreciate the Valkyries' coordination here. Never doubt their coordination. They all pull off of the fifth and final kill.
Wow.
And let Johnny jump in there. 16, 2, and 14.
That is
Johnny.
insane.
That's absurd.
He was a part of 30 kills.
That's absolutely absurd. The problem is, not that there is any problem, the Valkyries won. The thing that maybe feels bad for Big Man Ting specifically is that he did 48,000 damage on Tiamat, and it just simply was not enough. But I think for Game 3, we'll shift things up a little bit. You imagine maybe there's some priority towards Johnny. You've been taking away the Loki. Maybe the Hunbat suddenly needs to be a pan. But just to recontextualize it, Aggro, the top 3 teams in Group A, between the Dragons, the Kings, and the Leviathans, have been seen as like the tougher 3. But the reason we framed Group A as, quote, easier or better is because the top 3 teams make it out, and the Valhalla Valkyries are that 4th team. And so that story and that trend only holds up if everyone's beating the Valkyries. Now, the Leviathans have to face them later on. The Dragons have beaten the Valkyries, and that leaves this matchup in front of us. And so it's far from guaranteed. And then the Kings have to play the Dragons tomorrow. So if the Valkyries end up winning this set and the Kings lose to the Dragons tomorrow, I mean, you're starting to get into muddier waters here. And the Valkyries show us that they're able to compete.
Well, the big thing to me is that the Kings haven't won a best of 5 yet this year.
Right.
Twig mentioned it in the pregame interview that they are 0-2. Remember, group stages in Phase 1, those were best of 3s, and then they didn't perform well they were out their first set in Phase 2 playoffs, and now 0-1 coming into this game. So maybe this team just has, this team has clearly not been playing to the level that they expect, but the Valkyries played really well in that last game. Kronos Kepri. So this, for the Valkyries, man.
Are you letting some wind out of your own sails here in your mind?
Man, you just dominated on Sobek because they picked Geb, and you were able to take Izanami Sobek.
And Geb is still open, right?
And Geb is still open. You don't have to take Geb in this spot, I suppose. You don't have to. But at least don't.
You can still take the Sobek to
Right. Pick something else so that you have the opportunity to counterpick the Geb if they take it here. Or if they don't take it here, then you can take Kepri ban Geb with the next pick. I don't understand this Kepri pick in this spot at all.
How about the Kronos? I mean, look, Sol gets banned away. Sol had a good game for the Valkyries by every metric in game number 2 there. Seems like the Valkyries, depending on if we end up seeing a traditional Hunter locked in at some point, the Valkyries love these magical ADCs. Kronos is the next one on the list. Ola unbanned out. Freya and Kronos are kind of the last 2 there. We haven't seen a single game of Freya. Is Kronos strong enough to carry that mantle that Sol was carrying for Zeros in game 2?
I think Sol is significantly better than Kronos.
I don't think you're overextending much by saying that. But can you match that?
No.
No.
So what Kronos brings is very different than what Sol does. Sol is pressure in your laning phase, that she can fight early. Her 2v2 in mid is really good because she has a slow, and her autos hit harder than anyone's at that stage of the game whenever her passive is stacked. So, having those, and then she transitions into this hard-to-dive, AoE team fighter that kills objectives really fast. All of those things are really good. The only thing that Kronos does, that Sol does, that I just mentioned, was that he kills objectives and towers really fast in the late game. And he does that better than Sol, because Accelerate is a crazy ability. But his AoE is non-existent. His pressure is non-existent. He's very easy to dive and kill. That's why it pairs pretty well with the Kepri. But I think they're completely different, except that they both can build Stone of Fall. That's kind of it.
That's a good thing.
That's good. That's not good enough.
Right.
That's not good enough.
And remains to be seen if it's for sure Kronos paired with Kepri in the duo lane. The Kings kind of split, I think, in their mindset on that. One Heimdall ban, one Neath ban. One of those would be more aimed at Emilito. One would be more aimed at Zeros on the Neath. The Valhalla Valkyries, though, a little bit more gathered in what they want to take away, and it's something from Captain Twig later on in the draft. It's going to be King Arthur once more for Ducky. Another good look at it in Game 2. After a Game 1 loss for the Valkyries, Ducky was kind of the lone wolf, feeling okay, I think, on the King Arthur. And then just a good piece of the puzzle for the Valkyries in Game number 2. So on to Game 3. Ducky will get another look at it here. So you start to wonder where Twig wants to go with his pick here. Aggro, the Daji off the board. Loki has not been available to him because they've been taking that away from Johnny. Now you can't have Hunbat or Serket. Erlang Shen has been a pick, similar to the Gilgamesh for Captain Twig.
Yep.
That he's had some practice on all year long, and a good look.
Yeah, I don't love it against Khepri in general because, you know, ranged root really hurts that character. Abduct is very good against that character, but
Wow, it's a late team.
you know, it just gets you that 2v2 kill pressure. It brings a lot of CC. Erlang Shen has a lot of counters and still always seems to be good in spite of them. So I'm fine with the Erlang here in particular for Twig. Very surprised that Big Man gets to reprise his Tiamat despite the loss, like you said, 48,000 damage, far and away the highest in the game. I think that overall, the Kings draft just looks a lot
Storm
better.
that the Valkyries are going to be able to cause there in Game number 2. But let's look at it this way, Mifflin. Johnny's back on Hunbats. Ignore the rest of it. That seems like it's good in and of itself.
It is. It's good space creation. I think it's more so of a facilitator role for Johnny this time around, as Zeros is playing the late game hyper carry that is Kronos. And you know what? It is not often that I get to agree with Aggro, but I will do so here today on the cast. I don't love Kronos whatsoever, but I especially do not love Kronos up against knockups, the only form of CC that cannot be beadsed late. So, if your strategy is that, never mind, Rapper,
Oh, wow,
trouble.
what a pluck to be able to find him, the auto.
Okay, I should have just finished my point, man. I should have just gone.
Yeah, he's Khepri, he's fine.
Yeah, he's got meditation. So anyway, if Zeros gets knocked up in the late game, doesn't matter if you can rewind time or if you've got beads, you probably die before you touch the ground, which is where Raffer comes in. I think Scare's Blessing gonna have to go a long way.
Probably going to take a little while before they can really fight back over here. And so far, it's just been Genetics looking for blood. This is so similar to Game number 1. Raffer gets locked down, half health. He's going to be able to walk out alive this time. Med's still on cooldown from the last time he was in that position. And instead, it's over in the mid lane. Big Man Tings finds Zeros, and Johnny has to watch on.
Yeah, here's the thing about how those knockups can come early when Captain Twig's playing Erlang Shen. They can, and that's exactly what happened. It's still halfway to the respawn. They must have started in wave, and I just missed it.
We'll see what happened here in mid. Big Man Tings with a nice leap forward. That's about as straightforward as it gets. You had mentioned knockups being bad for Kronos. He got 2 in a row there.
2,000 gold already, 7 minutes in, favoring the Order side, and that is not a position you want to find yourself in when you have Kronos. Again, 2-level lead just about for Big Man Tings. Zero's just now ticking over to 8 to match Big Man Tings' 9.
Especially when you get into the nitty-gritty that the desk was talking about, which is realistically looking at these teams scaling into the late game. Ducky right now going to put that conversation on pause as he's in a 2v1. Had the lead originally, but unfortunately is going to get isolated and thrown back thanks to Twig's rotation. Johnny just on the side of the lane. We'll see what he's going to be able to do when he's able to join in there. If it's enough to save Ducky, the answer is yes. He is able to not only peel that away, but he goes in.
No way.
They are able to find the kill. Ducky comes back in and gets the kill, and now Twig is forced to run away. BMT is here, and any damage on Ducky is a kill. That's going to be enough for the Valkyries to run away. They turn that around. They find themselves a 1-0 trade off of Twig's gank.
Ducky survived for so long in that fight. Mystical Male early on doing a lot of work against the physical soul laner and physical jungler of the Camelot Kings, and that survivability nets him the time for Johnny to rotate in. Ducky actually blinks back forward, re-engages the fight, and then jukes out Big Man Tings on the tail end as well. The Valhalla Valkyries certainly have some fight back, but they've got a good steep hill to climb. 8 minutes in, it still is a significant lead for the Order team.
It's a lot to try and make up for. I was trying to allude to it, but the desk had hinted that the late game favors the Kings draft heavily. And admittedly, they do have, you know, it's Nike, double health bar, Erlang Shin, good self-heal, which can equate to a double health bar. Genetics, that's healing. We'll see if they can do that in any of these early on fights. Genetics walks forward, good knock-up, good pull to start that one off, but Emilito still out alive. Raffer's low, Raffer's slowed, Raffer's Scarab's blasting himself, but it's not going to be enough to let him get out of here. 4 members of the Kings look to lock him up, and they're going to make mincemeat of this Scarab.
Easy for the Camelot Kings to separate that fight and potentially get even more. A jump from Johnny will secure his escape, nearly pulled back in by Genetics, but a little bit off the mark yet again. And there we saw the Camelot Kings kind of spearhead their way into the engagement. They isolate Zeros, force the rewind. Zeros puts himself behind the Gold Fury, and Twig puts himself in the grave, it would seem, or maybe a sick fight back.
Oh, what a good Fear No Evil to start it off, but Johnny's the one left looking worse for wear, limping away under the tier 2. Genetics is getting chased down. Variety's going deep as of right now. It's just a matter of who can kill whom. It seems like Genetics is in a little bit worse position. There is that Lotus Crown, that healing keeps him going. Twig's out alive as well. Johnny managed to heal up using his speed buff in back camp, so nobody's going to fall down. The Kings are looking for blood.
Man, they are keeping us on our toes here, and Ducky won't let me do any analysis. Going to keep that fight going. Forces the knockup from Twig, but Raph is there.
It's a good route, connects, and Twig has no mana to work with. That's going to be a great abduct and keeps him locked away. A kill for Ducky onto the jungler of the Camelot Kings. Now it's Variety and Genetics versus Ducky and Rapper, the battle of the front line. But Ducky's starting this at half health. This is going to be a good start for them. Healing comes through from Genetics, and they're going to have to do whatever they can. A little bit of mitigation from Rapper to help Ducky out.
And
the rotation from Johnny. He just has to stay alive, and that's exactly what he does. The Hunbats comes over and helps him get one. Let's see if they can find two. Variety's low. Ducky peeks under the tier 1. No, he takes a step too far forward, and Variety helps turn it back around.
Yeah, Ducky feeling himself a little bit too much in that fight. Decides to stick around longer than he should have. But it is a clean trade from the Valhalla Valkyries nonetheless. It was all of that just for Ducky in this one small skirmish, and they've done a good job of closing up that gold gap yet again. Zeros forced the ultimate out here, but not in great position. On the wrong side of the map, and with plenty of people rotating in.
Man, you know he's got to be happy. This might be one of the last few minutes that you're going to be able to channel that ability very easily in this game. That is difficult. He's forced to run away. Netroid Genetics chasing him down. There's the Dark Portal for a silence. He had to run through the tier 1 for the disengage, but now Genetics has peeled off. Over on the right-hand side, Johnny's able to get a kill, but we're going to keep chasing this one down. Nothing
just keep
is happening over there. Zeros is fine. And he's got his
He's going to get another wave.
Speed. He's going to have a little bit of healing. Netroid chases. And that's going to keep him in
the
this.
Beads?
Beads have to be used. He has nothing to work with. Emilito and Big Man Teams are fighting in mid. There's so much going on. Zero
He's surely dead.
Run around the world so far. And this man is making Mercury look bad with how far he's going. Finally, there's a pin. Finally, someone's able to get the kill. But not before Zeros runs over Hell and Half of Georgia.
Yeah, that was that fight started at the tier 1 on the Valhalla Valkyries duo lane, and it ended at the Pyromancer. The Camelot Kings try and pull it out.
A long way.
Yeah, he took the scenic route. Valhalla Valkyries, though, are able to put up a defense around the Pyromancer and stop the onslaught of the Camelot Kings. Ultimate down, Kronos in some trouble.
Let's take a look at the kill Johnny was able to pick up while Zeros was listening to the Benny Hill theme and running around the world. Good Scarab's Blessing here from Raffer.
Oh, he's just going.
And yeah, he just Johnny things, man. Look, he didn't even get the proc. He was sitting at 200 health the whole time.
Gonna struggle more so in these late game team fights as long as Captain Twig is nearby. But it seems like they're not concerned with that, and instead have concerned themselves with the neutral objective, trying to match what the Camelot Kings are doing on the opposite side of the map. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but the Kings get the more valuable of the two at this point. I think the Valhalla Valkyries strategy is clear from this point. It's farm, and then continue to farm.
All right, now for Emilito, it's try to stay alive. Not going to work out too well. Does manage to get the ult and pulls out a Twig out of nowhere. I thought he was gone. I thought Emilito made it out of there. And Twig just makes sure to cement that idea. 0-1 and 0. Haven't seen a lot of this Jingwei. Maybe not the look Emilito wanted to return to after what we got to see out of the Izanami in game number 2.
Yeah, I've loved what I've seen from Netroid so far. It's just, hey, I'm going to throw all my auto attacks into this minion wave, and if you're still around, I'm going to throw them at you afterward to take any engagement. But let's just break it down. He's level 13. Let's take a pick at Big Man Tings, who put up, what was it, like 52,000 damage in the last game on this pick?
Nuts.
Yeah, he's level 16, 3 levels up, 2-0. No assists. Everything he does goes his way. The Camelot Kings mid laner, huge advantage.
Has a lot going for him. All the relics in mid lane are still available. So even something going for them there. We have a rotation coming through. Johnny, Zeros in the jungle. Twig a little bit closer to the lane, though, and it's a 2v2. Now made 3v2. Emilito makes it up into the sky, but he goes right back in. Lands next to Twig. Fear No Evil helps separate the fight, but it's still Emilito who ends up going down first. Twig is low, Genetics is low, but it's the turnaround. It's Big Man Tings. You had to highlight him once. We had to highlight him twice. He's chasing him down, and he's finding the damage necessary. Johnny looks like he's going to be able to leap on out of this one, but Trapper has no safety left for himself. Gets his team out of there, but it costs him his life.
So Big Man Tings is now 4-0 and level 17. Still a 3-level lead over Zeros, who does not make that rotation whatsoever. Instead tries to take out that tier 1 tower in mid, but at what cost? Probably the tier 2 tower in left map state. Absolutely favoring the Camelot Kings at this point, as is the gold, as is the experience. I agree, though, with Zeros' decision. He just does not match the pressure that Tiamat brings. Not yet, at least.
Well, Variety taken up into the sky. Ducky, Johnny, they've been the two to keep your eyes on for the Valkyries. There's going to be the Sentinel Zeus, gives him the shield. Looks like it's going to give him the disengaged Twigs just around the corner. Relatively low health, but his ult's about to come back off cooldown, and that pin is perfect for peel and setup. Zeros is low, Big Man Tings is here. That means anything can change at the blink of the eye with the damage that he's able to output. It's Twig chasing down Johnny right now, but it's Ducky in the fray of 4 right now. All of the Kings decide to jump in and get a piece of the solo laner and put him down. Hey,
Ducky was alive for a little while, but he was alone the entire time. Gotta think that there was a miscommunication from the Valhalla Valkyries. Not sure why Ducky would decide to down on the Camelot Kings to find something on the map, and unfortunately finds legitimately nothing with the ultimate this time around. But there still will be opportunities. Variety's beads won't be back up just yet, neither will Big Man Ting, so Johnny gets at least one more shot to find a massive ultimate, but not before he loses his tier 1 tower.
5,000 gold sitting here for the Kings. They're getting aggressive. Raffer, Scarab's blessing on himself.
He's dead.
And he's rezzed right there, but there's still 5 members of the Kings, and Variety bullies him with the shield, knocks him back, and holds him in place. Johnny just trying to get his speed buff. Immel, Ducky just trying to stay alive. Zeros, other side of the planet, taking a tier 2 tower right now, but losing one in trade. He's not even able to pick up the one he was aggressing onto. So it is a 1-for-none trade, plus a tower, and even more gold lining the Kings' pockets.
It is, and Zeros is very happy to just keep doing what he's been doing. He will take out this tier 2 tower. Nobody from the Kings gonna get there in time, despite a back from Captain Twig. So might be able to stop a Phoenix from going down, but that's about it.
Well, Ducky's gonna try to survive as long as he can. Once again, he's going down a lot faster than he expected. There's gonna be the Sentinel Zeus. The slow is good, and that's gonna be a kill. Netroid, credit for that one. Damage from everybody. Make sure that the solo
does
lane
he want the 1v1 on left?
2 and 3 Varieties trying to do whatever he can. Yeah, well, it looks like Zeros might have fought a little bit there for Twig. He got the tower, he backs up. Still has his ult and is now about to have his relic.
He absolutely
so maybe
needs to. I mean, behind essentially an entire item on Big Man Tings right now. Golden Hand sitting at 3,000. Should be able to close up that gap slightly, but may have come a too little too late. Camelot Kings grouped on the fire.
And able to get aggressive, and Melito's already taken 1/3 of his health. And he's going to have to force his ult away just to stay alive. Raffer is running down the lane towards the Order side.
I think he's dead.
And he is going to end up going down here. Scarab's Blessing gives him some move speed to disengage, but it's going to unfortunately time out before he can stay alive. Minions help out Variety a little bit there, and they get rid of the support for the Valkyries. Now it's just going to be the chase down. BMT isolated. No one's going to be able to find him. The Fire Giant started up one more time by the Kings.
Johnny's hovering nearby and has the ultimate available. That's great steal potential, at least fight to put a coin toss in favor of the Valhalla Valkyries. Variety doing a great job, though, of just hanging around and saying, hey, I mean, if you want in, I'm going to at least make it hard for you. Zeros, he's reprised his role as the split pusher and forces 2 backs.
I mean, it's done kind of what you had highlighted. I'll admit, surprisingly so. I didn't expect to see him potentially even hit level 20 with the pace of the game that had met us up to this point. He's been able to do so. Still 5,000 gold favoring the other side. So he's got a long way to catch up in order to get there where
he is.
Fire Giant's going to start, and he is left side of the map. He's going for a Phoenix, so it's a 5v4 on the Fire Giant. Fear no evil available. Emilito getting jumped on and dunked on. He's going to be able to ult and get himself out of there. Raffer's still alive. Fire Giant was leashed. Phoenix is getting taken. Fear no evil gets dropped. Johnny not able to find much on the back end. Ducky is going to go down. A couple of crits. And Twig is the one who finds the last hit. Fire Giant started back up. What was a 4v5, now a 3v5. But he's in the Titan room. He's not going to continue the aggression. He falls back, but that might have been what they needed to get some backs off. His team's losing. They lose the Fire Giant, despite getting the Phoenix.
Johnny maintains his life, as does Emilito. Not sure how long Johnny will have done that, though, as he is deep on the enemy side of the map, as is Emilito, surrounded by 3. Silence is good, and Twig, well, he's zoom.
Yeah, he's got it. Autos, though, and
yeah,
that's
they
what
hit hard.
matters. Oh, man, the damage numbers coming out from Netroid and Twig make that one look easy. They're going to go for the tier 2 and right. I have a question to pose for you.
Please.
You're Zeros in that position.
Uh-huh.
Your team's losing their fight. You've got a full minion wave and you're in the Titan room. Do you stick around or do you back like he does?
I think I back just because he hadn't finished that ring just yet. And let's see a good look at his damage here. Twig, well, you can't stand in front of him.
See if they can make this work. Good
Good
Fear No
ult.
Evil onto 3. Genetics is low. Twig has no mana to work with. The Valkyries managed to push away 5v5 this game.
Zeros, your late game Chronos. Now's the time to help your team. It's a stack up from the Camelot Kings. 2 in mid, 3 on left, and Zeros headed back to base. Seems like he is willing to participate.
He's going to at least join the fray this time around. Ducky, 16 to Variety's 19. Variety causing a lot of disruption. Pluck just wide for Genetics. He's not going to be able to get any big
That's good
upsets
damage.
right here. Minion wave coming in for the Kings. They're going to be able to get aggressive. Imolito takes a third of his HP. Stays alive just fine for now. Phoenix, roughly untouched. The Kings continue to group up as 5.
Johnny still has Blink and Ultimate, so he's not going to make it easy for the Kings, who are stacked up heavily.
You have to look at his positioning. He's coming around the back, but it's going to be aggression. Imolito gets saved. Scarab's Blessing on point.
There's
make
the
sure that
ult.
comes through. There's the ult. Big Man Tings is the target, but it's not going to be enough to find the kill. Half health for a lot of the Kings, but the healing is there for Genetics. Variety leading the way, and Variety finding a kill. Gets out alive as well. Raffer and Ducky off the board, and the Valkyries are missing their front line.
The Camelot Kings are low, though. Netroid too far forward, is able to escape.
Johnny.
Emilito off the mark, as is Johnny. Sacred Monkey, just not close enough.
He's trying to close the gap. Variety goes back in. Zeros, Emilito, Johnny, the 3 there standing. Johnny backing over there in the mid lane to try and get some of that healing necessary. Get the mana back. The healing is good for the Kings. The Fire Giant buff and Genetics bolstering their defenses, allowing them to move forward. They're going to get aggressive. Zeros, Emil incredibly low. And where are you going to land, Emil? Right in front of the waiting arms of Variety. Forces the Aegis from both of them. Johnny gets taken down by the Phoenix. The Kings walk into the Titan room. They're going to go ahead and pull back just a little bit. 7 seconds on Ducky and Raffer. They're looking for the mid-Phoenix.
Zeros and Emilito still healthy. Good damage output. Variety falls down, and Emilito still healthy. 1v1 up against Big Man Tings. Should be able to reset
You
here.
need the damage now. Twig has nothing to work with. Ducky, Raffer, rejoin the battle, and you've got your CC. Zeros, you have to go big, and you have to make him go home for the Kings, but he's taking too much in retaliation. Netroid, it's too hot to handle. Emilito's back in this. Emilito gets pulled in. Emilito gets taken down. And the Valkyries have been marching in one by one and falling just the same way in their favor. 2 Phoenixes down for the Valkyries. So a lot to fight back against, and a grouping that hinges this game, potentially the set. A 2-1 lead, very important for either of these to be able to pick up.
Yeah, jumping yourself to set point puts so much pressure on the other side. Speaking of pressure, Raffer feels it. Drop down to 30%.
What a good amount of damage. Ducky has nothing to work with. His health bar is just dwindling. Emilito
see ya.
gets deleted by Netroid. And there's the Scarab's Blessing. It saves Ducky. But you had to watch your carry go down. Fear No Evil is huge. It finds 2.
Great
But he
pull.
gets pulled right back into the fray. Ducky's been killed off by Big Man. And now Johnny's in a 1v3 trying to do anything and everything he can. Forced to run away. Zeros in the one-on-one up against Twig. Goes for the rewind. He's going to lose the positioning. Twig makes it out of there. Johnny now in a 1v1 versus Variety. He's got some jungle camps to keep him alive and sustained. I don't know if this is going to be enough. He's in the fight and in the fray. Finds the damage. One more hit is all he needs. Gets rid of Variety. But his team loses the Fire Giant. Zeros joins him. And now he gets pinned. This is a dangerous fight for the Valkyries to take, but they're going to do it as a 3-man, make it a 2-man. Zeros just deleted off the map.
Yeah, Variety got Bumbas hammered, then Zeros got hit by a late-game crit hunter, Netroid, with Wind Demon and Deathbringer. Only needs to land 3 to put down Zeros, and that's exactly how it goes down this time around. The Valhalla Valkyries lose out on the Fire Giant, they lose out on the engagement, but they are at least able to take that buff off of 1. Variety falling down.
Now, Big Man Tings,
How do you get there?
Why he is that far forward, what he's doing up there, but finally they shut down Big Man Tings. 7-1-6, first death of the game, level 20, and all of the damage in the world. 1,000 damage here. And you'd think, oh, well, Tiamat can't be too far behind. You're pretty much right, 32,000, 7-1-6. Both of them up until very recently were undying. Tings changing that a little bit. We'll see if they're able to continue their onslaught here as they go up against weakened Phoenixes.
Yeah, the mid Phoenix has taken a heavy bit of damage already. It's a 3-on-2 stack, 3 in left, 2 in mid, and Zero's the only one to put up a defense, cannot do it on his own. Mid Phoenix taken away. simplifies the game. 5-stack now for the Valhalla Valkyries around this left-hand side.
Potentially the first time we get to see a 5-on-5 for them. Variety gets pulled in, and then Raffer has to Scarab's Blessing himself. The health bar is dwindling fast. He's already gone for the second time. Fear No Evil deep in the backline finds forward. Johnny trying to do everything he can, but he gets crit, and Netroid is the one who's driving this one home. The damage is just too much to deal with. Zeros and Melito versus the world. Phoenixes are weakened. They can only do so much here. The Kings are going to look for the last 2 kills. They're going to go ahead and run into the Titan room with the Deicide and take a 2-1 lead this set.
Captain Twig won't let Zeros maintain his KDA, or maybe will be forced to. He's got to race against his team, but the Titan will fall nonetheless.
Oh, and he didn't get it. Zeros goes grayscale, but doesn't get the kill.
Hold that, Twig.
Yeah, 2-1 lead for the Kings here. They control that one for a majority of it. 3 times the amount of kills, twice the amount of wins now in the set. And admitted.
That's right, January 6th through 9 is the high-res showcase. That is literally 2 months away. Well, not literally. 2 months plus 1 day. Literally 2 months plus 1 day away from now. That is wild. That has been a long year, an exciting year, but there is a whole lot more fun to be had before Season 8 is officially done. January 6th through 9th is the high-res showcase, and a packed week of action. Those little orangey blocks there. We're going to get competitive SMITE quarterfinals, semifinals, and grand finals over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But everything high-res happening that week. A little something for everyone. Just got to win back-to-back games now. But Big Man Ting's got to run back this team at 10th pick overall. Looked really, really good once again. Netroid also had a fantastic game. The carries for the Kings really put on a show.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that Big Man Tinks gets this 10th. That's criminal. I just think the Valkyries really got a little caught up. I mean, look, Johnny went absolutely nuts game 2. The man was 16-2-14. That is one of the best scored lines I have ever seen in an SPL game, and I've been doing this for a long time. But I think that it got a little lost as to how the Valkyries and how Johnny got to that point.
How we got there.
Which was duo lane pressure and getting Raffer on proactive picks. This Kepri, nothing. Didn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, I already went over the Chronos. That didn't do a whole lot. I think this soul ban really hurt the Valkyries. And it's a lot like what we were talking about with the Scarabs, where they, you know, when you're a team that's floundering, you kind of work your way into finding one comp that works really well for you. And then that comp works really well for you. And then teams realize what the linchpins are, they take it away, and it's on you to readjust. And I think that the Valkyries, you know, soul mid works for them. That is the right pick for Zeros. After soul is off the table, what does Zeros go to? And top 2 in Chronos is not the directed set. So we'll see what adjustments they want to make. Maybe they feel like the Kings can't ban soul if they're second pick. That would be the pick that I'm looking to try and force the Kings to take away and maybe open up something really good for us.
Yep, it has been mid plus carry or mid plus support in all 3 games so far for the Valhalla Valkyries with their first 2 picks. It's going to have to be a little bit different here. Could still prioritize that mid lane, but cannot immediately follow up with the support on your side. Loki and Olarun will remain the same throughout here. And so you might expect some shifting to be done. Since the Valkyries are now in that first pick slot, you've been really prioritizing the Odin and the ban column, things like that. And so that's something you could look for there as well. But I think you're right in your thinking for the Camelot Kings. Why not just run back something similar? And I think that this is smart. You're going to take away the soul for the Camelot Kings. But you said there might, or for the against the Valkyries, you said there might be a reason to feel like you can't ban that away in that second pick slot, but the Kings kind of brushing that by the wayside.
Yeah, I mean, the Valkyries, what do they try and leave open here? Maybe you try and get Artio for Ducky. Like, that's the pick that you can kind of adjust and get. Yeah, you ban something like Sylvanas here. This makes a ton of sense. Now the Kings have to choose what they want to ban between you know, Geb or Artio, you know.
Odin's been popular.
Odin, right. You're getting at least one of these. Now, if I'm the Kings, I kind of ban none of them.
Right.
Because I get 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3, absolutely.
And we can play multiple no matter which combination. So if I'm the Kings, I'd be like, you know, I could be like, let's just ban something else. Izanami makes a ton of sense. I think banning Izanami is really strong. Now the Valkyries have to choose which do we want to go for. I think overall, I think I'd go Ardio or Odin in
Right.
this spot. I mean, certainly the Geb did not perform very well on the other side. I think Odin first pick is fine. Now you force the Kings to go Ardio in their top 2 in this position, though I don't think they're going to be too upset about that deal.
This is a pick where relative success for Ducky has been there. You know, the team has still struggled to win, but as far as picks looking good for Ducky in the solo lane, Odin has been a style of pick that we have seen some success for Ducky specifically on this Valhalla Valkyries team. So Geb has been a topic of conversation. Won't end up being the Geb. And I doubt, although, I was going to say I doubt we see it, but that's a solo lane pick for the Valkyries. You could, I suppose, still see a Geb if it's left open here. And so this is something the Valkyries have been doing. They've been prioritizing carry or mid plus support. And now the Kings are going to do so as well. They're going to grab themselves the Emoja and the Ram.
Yeah, I mean, Netrioid doesn't get to play the Izanami, so they pick Emoja Ram, probably thinking that they'll be able to get Ardio on the return, but I like this adjustment from the Valkyries. Lock in Odin and Ardio for yourself. I'd anticipate they're going to pick Zeros as God here because they have top 2 to his God every other game this set, so would anticipate that that's the direction that they will go, but they don't. They go Heimdall instead for Emilito. I think that this is a fine top 3 here for the Valks. I'm still very concerned about what Zeros is going to be playing in mid, but Odin can go support.
Yep.
I'd like to see Odin support Ardio solo. I think that's the better lineup for how it's going to go. And surprisingly, it's Discordia top 3 instead of that Tiamat. And normally you'd think, oh, well, it's because you need a character that can get out of that Odin cage, but Tiamat can get out of Odin cage just as well as Discordia can.
Yep.
So little surprised in the direction that Big Man goes.
I'm sorry you have to come back to this camera shot immediately after the adorable cat all bundled up on Ducky's bed. There's just no following that. Discordia, though, has been an interesting pick out of the mid lane for Big Man Tings, and I think Dardes are the 2 that really come to the forefront of my mind when I think about this Discordia pick, and how it's actually looked really good in both of their hands. And so I think I'm not at all concerned about the player god synergy between Big Man Tings and Discordia here. That said, it has been Tiamat 4 out of the last 6 games for BMT. It's looked great, so a bit of a different shift here for the Camelot Kings out of the mid lane, but they've already got a little bit of control here. Strife, Yamoja obviously good at space control, and that's something the Valkyrie's going to have to deal with.
Yeah, I like what the Kings have so far. The Discordia does give that cripple that is good against Odin, Ardio, and Heimdall. That might be the reason why they prioritize it over the Tiamat in this position. So the team fight is already pretty good from the Kings. They have their backline solidified. I'm interested to see what direction the Variety is going to go, though, because he's been on this Nike all set long. They've really prioritized this in the top 3. This time they don't take it there. It gets banned away right away. And now Variety's got to switch up his style a little bit. And you don't know for sure which direction they're going to be going on the other side. Because theoretically it could be Ardio support,
Right.
but it shouldn't be.
Yeah, shouldn't be, because Ardio is just so dominant, feels like, out of the solo lane.
Yeah.
So we will see, but educated guesses lean Ardio solo, Odin then over in support. Hunbat's going to be the pick here for the Camelot Kings. And the Serket ban does raise some eyebrows here, because that's something that that Johnny has played a couple of times. But that does still leave open some priority picks here, Aggro, down the stretch for the Valhalla Valkyries. Fenrir has been in and out of the pick ban column all throughout Season 8 up to this point, going to be back in the pick column here for the second game played in this group, in these group stages. And then Aphrodite has seen a lot more play in the group stages, and certainly an interesting way to round out the draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ardio, or Afro Fenrir, excuse me, is a really strong 2v2 in mid, because you've got CC, you've got damage, you've got healing, and Fenrir carries enough damage that he doesn't need a whole lot of help in that
8
department.
seconds in.
But,
Gord, give him some
it's
time.
from his positioning. That's what I mean. Because he
fair
was
enough.
Homie was looking for something.
He was. Maybe
I don't
somebody
know
stepping
what.
too far forward for the ward. As you said, maybe he's able to drop a ward himself. Seems like that was the strategy. He's trying to drop it there so he realizes when the junglers start to rotate their way towards mid. I like both of these drafts a lot. My only concern for the Valhalla Valkyries draft in the late game is who's utilizing the Ring of Spears. I know Ducky can close gap pretty easily, but you don't have a standard mage to apply damage in that lockdown space. You don't have the best dive potential. I mean, sure, Johnny should be able to go in there pretty easily, but he's squishy up against this large CC core of the Camelot Kings. I think if the Valhalla Valkyries pull a lead, this is a draft that can run with it, but if they don't, they could get run over as well.
Now Johnny is going to be the one to keep your eye on. Mostly linked with Zeros, I anticipate, for this game. And man, after watching game number 2, that feels like a winning combo. Hey, I'm going to give Johnny and Aphrodite just pocket. Give him the heal, give him Undying Love, give him whatever he needs. This is going to have to be a very different look. From Kronos to Aphrodite, a wildly different style of play. Also has a lot of pressure here. We had kind of highlighted this. I mean, you're going to get some damage from Odin. Johnny should carry. But Emilito is going to have to step up to the plate as well here on this Heimdall to make sure that everything goes well for this draft for the Valkyries.
Yeah, Melito's been having a good set so far, so relying on him doesn't feel nearly too awful. But you're right to bring up just the distinct shift up from Zeros. Even between Soul to Kronos, there's a good bit of carryover in how you're trying to play in the team fight. Aphrodite is the largest departure from that auto attack style that we've seen from him so far. I would honestly love, just for the comedic value, to see Zeros go for some split push plays come late game, but I doubt we see it.
Well, right now it's going to be Variety. Good knock-up. Johnny, Zeros separated. That's going to be 1 kill onto the mid laner. If they could catch him fast enough. Could be a kill onto the jungler as well. Now he's going to make it to the waiting arms of Ducky. Safety just around the corner. That's going to be a 1-for-0 first blood picked up for the Kings. Raffer, Emil trying to turn it around to a little bit more. Netroid is low. 1 stray auto is all it would take. With the towers there, the sword's not enough. And Netroid skirts out of this one alive.
Well, the Valhalla Valkyries drafted a dual lane for pressure, and they've got it already. Good kill presence, good just pressure in the minion wave as well. So the Valkyries can push there. Variety surrounded.
Ducky has the ring, drops the ring, dies in the ring, and now Johnny's able to retaliate at least a little bit. So solo for solo, and Johnny getting on board probably feels good. Variety with 2 kills, though, has already taken a level lead, driving at least a little bit more of the pace of the game.
The experience largely even, about 1,000 separate these two squads. Gold maybe a little bit more important at this point, 1,200 in favor of the Camelot Kings. Greater Scorpion only going to push that even further in their favor. Enhance some buffs, spawn up the Gold Fury sooner rather than later. But it's Raffer in first, and he's found Genetics.
Yeah, he went for a blink. They have the lockdown on Genetics, but it's not enough to be able to find a kill. Good 2-man stun from Raffer. Tings gets the dash. Genetics falls back. Netroid is in no trouble the entire time. Twig is joining the fray. Johnny's here as well with Zeros. They're going to go for it. There's going to be the ult out of Netroid. Saves him the beads. The snipes are just maintaining the sky. Walls, the River's Rebuke, thrown up. Genetics is trying to create some space. There's going to be the Fear No Evil, but it's not going to be enough to lock him down. Emilito almost gets out of there. Twig still manages to get the takedown. Johnny locked up between 3, goes down. Raffer trying to run away, and Twig is just going to continue the chase. Unfortunately, it's a Guardian. They're not going to be able to find that, but the kills now read 4-1 in favor of the Kings.
Johnny and Emilito trade out their lives for 0 value on the left-hand side.
That's what they're trying for. Remember, top 3 move on to the Phase 2 playoffs, or Phase 3 playoffs even. Phase 2 playoffs already happened. Bottom 4, number 4 in each group, still gets to go to the SWC placement round, where they'll get potentially randomized into a group with the 3rd through 8th seeds SPL. A lot that could go on over there. Plus the SEC teams join the fray. That's going to be the engage from Twig. He's going to be able to find the separation. Fear No Evil was dropped, and he is going to lose his life. Emilito, credit for the kill, but Johnny with the pickup opens up the opportunity. Raffer, good dash, gets him out of there. The follow-up from Genetics, Variety, and Netroid seems to be a little too good, though, and it's jungle for support.
Twig for Raph trade, and I'm sure that's one the Valkyries are happy to take. This matchup against the lifesteal of both Devourer's Gauntlets and Aussie from Netroid, so that 1v1 potential may be gone. If Emilito starts a fight and doesn't actually kill Netroid, he's just going to full heal.
This is going to be a good Fear No Evil. Johnny picks up Twig, though. Tries to bring him back to the waiting arms of the rest of the Valkyries. Not going to happen there. The apple separates and divides. Gets a little bit of damage onto Zeros. Johnny can't go in. Nobody dies. The Valkyries use a lot. The Kings use a little bit more.
They do, and the Valhalla Valkyries force the rotation out from Ducky as well, so both Solmiers joining the engagement around the center of the map, but only one of them still has their ultimate. Ring of Spears still available, maybe potential to try and continue that fight. But even if he does cage out, let's say Variety when his ult's down. Sure, he can't get out of the cage. Where's the damage coming from? Probably not Aphrodite, definitely not Odin on his own. I think that Stratotasker essentially has free play on field in that I'm not sure anybody's killing him.
Been able to get out of everything so far.
Just fighting him in the cage.
Fine. Yeah, he's having no problem. In fact, Variety's going in. He's going for the stun, and he's looking for the fight versus Ducky. Ducky stays alive at, what is that, like 1/6 HP? He's fine for now, but not a lot going his way. Odin around the gold field.
And the medic Zero should be able to resustain everybody on the side of the Valhalla Valkyries. There's similar sustain coming from Genetics, but not nearly as much as quickly. It is a more AoE focus, though, so as long as it's just potent from the Valkyries, sustain war goes to the Kings.
Camelot kind of thrown to the wolves, has to sustain himself.
Good ult.
There's a great pickup from Johnny, and he's chasing him down. Aegis good from Tings, but not enough to keep him alive. They trade 1 for 1. Undying Love's still available, but Zero's not able to close the gap and connect to Johnny to keep him alive. Ultimately, Johnny gets a good kill. He burns both relics.
Great trade for Johnny to go for. Big Man Ting's one of the most valuable targets on the map right now, and this is going to give Zeros a little bit of an opportunity to close up that level gap. You want to? It's a bit of a gap here in the Soul Lane. The late game team fight presence, though, should slightly go in favor of Ducky. I mean, Ring of Spears is just such a powerful tool for controlling space that maybe Variety has to think harder about where he dunks.
River's Rebuke locks in 3 Zeros. Seems to be the target. A couple of stuns connect onto him and Raffer. Raffer just eats his entire health bar. Too fast to handle. Zeros alone. Aphrodite with snipes and a Hunbat's dancing around. Yeah, not much you can do there. Variety goes in, finds Emilito, gets the knock up, and is trying to keep him isolated long enough. But that Bifrost is going to be on a long cooldown, but still gets Emil out of there.
He gets him out just in time for him to hear the death wail of the Gold Fury that goes the way of the Camelot Kings as well. Gold lead now expanded, but the Valhalla Valkyries, no stranger to losing out on the Gold Fury, are able to make the best possible counterplay, which is at least getting a Pyromancer for themselves, is what I would have said had Variety not also been there. This guy is a menace.
Wow.
He's everywhere on the map.
And yeah, but
He's
that's
gonna pull
without
it?
his ult. Yeah, he just walks back over. He's going to start it up. Ducky will see this. We've got Twig here. Jump in. There's going to be the Fear No Evil. They might even get a kill on top of this as the Kings pick up the kill onto the Pyromancer. Ducky just trying to stay alive. That stun is only going to be able to do so much. Separates some space between him and Twig, but Variety's still got the chase down. Variety's Ratatosker. Shield's good to save some health. Variety wants a little bit more. Johnny's around the corner looking for the peel. He'll save Ducky's life, but they still lose both objectives.
Hey, Ducky at least gets a blue buff as a consolation prize. The Camelot Kings get 7,000 gold to their name over their opposition,
Kronos
though.
was
I think they're...
Split pushing, aside from most of the fights. Zeros, the healing could definitely make a bigger difference for him here. But Johnny's got to be more active, and you got to get a little bit more out of Ducky here. So far, we haven't gotten to see a full 5-on-5 true grouping from these teams. Variety's ult definitely disrupting, I think, the plans the Valkyries have had around any of these objectives and any of these team fights. You had mentioned it earlier, but it's now hovering just a little over 6,000, 6,200 gold in favor of the Kings. With a couple of minutes before we have either Fury or Pyromancer back, they're just looking for blood. They're hanging out here in the jungle. I mean, that could have been a good stun onto Johnny. Raffer's going to have a Fear No Evil. What a good blink to get him out of there. Just to make sure that an ult is wasted there for Twig. Unfortunately, they still find something. Zeros goes down before you can even think about it.
Yeah, Zeros had Ultimate, Undying Love. It's a Beads Aegis. He's actually got the real Beads Aegis as well, but doesn't use any of those cooldowns. Beads, Aegis, and Ultimate still available to Zeros. His life, not the same. That goes down, as does his Tier 1 tower, as does his Tier 2 tower.
Wow.
This lead from the Camelot Kings has gotten a lot worse, and it got worse very quickly. And with the Furies respawning very soon, as is the Pyromancer, can only extend their lead. Emilito at least able to put some damage into the Tier 2, but an aggressive leap in from Twig may cost him his beads.
Emilito just trying to stay alive. Bifrost does enough. There's the pickup. This actually might be a good turnaround kill, but here comes Variety to make sure it stays a 1-4-1. Emilito goes down in favor of Twig. Now Johnny is getting picked up just afterward. Good kills for the Kings. It reads 11-4, 19 minutes in. It's been a long road here. The Valkyries have given them some trouble. 2 towers left standing, still 4 up for the Kings. And still 30 seconds before we've got a Fury back. Just a little over that, about a minute, until we get the Pyromancer back. Fire Giant's going to be dancing around. 18 minutes is usually the magic marker. We're 20 and a half in. So the Kings are going to go ahead and start this one up. Dougie spots it out. Raffer's rotating in. But the rest of the team is wide and far from where this objective is started. It's going to be at 1/3 HP, but it is Raffer who is the target right now. Fear No Evil locks down him and Ducky. River's Rebuke make sure they can't run away, and they're going to be able to pick up the 2 frontliners for the Valhalla Valkyries. Ducky making sure it lasts a little bit longer. Shield is good. Netroid's chasing him through the wall. Snipes are going to connect 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4. It doesn't matter. Twig is the one who's able to make sure that that kill goes their way. It's a 2 for none. And guess what, Myth? Still the Fire Giant.
Still a Fire Giant, this time uncontested. It's a 2-stack in mid from the Camelot Kings. They found 3.
Yeah, Emilito low, forced back. There's the Undying Love, and it's going to allow him to get out of there. Healing's going to be good. Johnny trying to stay alive throughout all this. Fire Giant for 5 members of the Kings. It looks like there's going to be a successful retreat for most members of the Valkyries. Zeros is left in the one role you don't wish to be. He is going to be cannon fodder for the Kings. Variety looking for the chase down. One good stun is all it'll take to find the kill here. Johnny going for some peel. And Emilito's back over here. I mean, they've got some good damage to turn around. They are chasing Zeros to the ends of the earth, finally able to get the kill. And now, unfortunately, Emil didn't get the back off there. Once again is a good Bifrost to make sure Emil can stay alive. But it feels like they're just hunting for more as they can find another kill onto Johnny here. The Kings lead 15-4. Emil hasn't had the chance to back yet, and Variety wants a little bit more.
Yeah, I think he's going to get it. Is that a triple kill? Legitimate triple kill here for Variety. That was a 2 versus 3 that started in the Camelot Kings Tier 1 tower. That Tier 1 still standing, by the way.
They could spend any more time further away from each other at this point. Yeah, they're going to have to group up here. Only Phoenix is left for the Valkyries. So once again, the Kings are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. They recognize that they could end this set and get themselves a huge win for this group. Continue pushing forward. Game 2 was a great game for the Valkyries. You might have forgotten it, maybe missed it. Johnny got a pentakill.
Yeah.
Was some absurd, like 12, 2, and 18 or something like that. Now they're going to have to try and figure out what they can do some of that. That's a good kill to start things off. Zeros is able to find the last hit on the Netroid. Variety's looking to come in and jump down. Gets a knock up onto the 2 frontliners for the Valkyries, but they've already stopped what was going to be a very painful push. Now they're trying to find their aggression back into this. Johnny is waiting in the jungle, and this might be the bait that the Kings are taking.
The Camelot Kings are healthy, though. If this is a bait, it doesn't look great because Raffer's falling down.
Raffer's gone, Immel's half, Ducky's half, but Johnny's in the back line, and he's going on Tings trying to find his way in. But that Ragnarok's finding nothing. Instead, he eats most of his health bar, all of it gone, and that is a 2 kills now scooped up for the Kings. They continue running it down. The Phoenix is going to do a little bit of damage in retaliation. Immel, Ducky, Zeros managed to make it out alive. They have to watch the Phoenix go down.
And all 4 members of the Camelot Kings are still relatively healthy. It's only Variety that takes a fair deal of poke in that fight, and well, you wouldn't be able to tell looking at them just again. I think the Variety is in a great position to just stick around and keep fighting, especially with a Riptide like that.
And you just keep them isolated, keep them locked in. Immel, good knockback, saves his life for a second. Not long enough, though. Zeros goes down. That's a 4-man sweep. Ducky versus the world. Netroids respawn. These are the Tier 2 in mid trying to run all the way back. Ducky, the last man standing for now. Raffer joins the fray, but Ducky is still isolated and alone. That's another kill for the Kings. It now reads 21-5. They're keeping the 4x mark. They're marching into the Titan room right now with Raffer praying to every god and every pantheon that he could try to make a defense here. Johnny's back. They're going to try to do whatever they can. That Titan's falling too fast, though. They don't have a chance to even get in there. They're looking for the kills. The Kings play with their food and recognize what they have. They get a win, and they take this set.
The Valhalla Valkyries do fall down. It takes 4 games. The second one, a very good look at what the potential of this team is in the future.
You know, if I'm Biggie, their coach, I'm probably going in with the attitude of, hey, we can't just send games 1 and 2 like that. You know, against a team like the Dragons or the Leviathans in your group, you'll be down 2-0. And so obviously that can't continue to be the case. But look, hey, we can take a deep breath. The Kings took care of business. They came in, they played well in these last 2 games. I think they really outdrafted the Valkyries, these last 2 in particular. Variety is starting to look absolutely dominant on this Ratatosker, and if he can really continue to develop this pick like he did the Hell, that changed the meta, and this might as well.
Yeah, Variety's been at the forefront of a lot of those meta changes. SOT comes to mind in that conversation as well. But remember, we talked about the last time we saw this Ratatosker pick. It looked really, really good. It was the one game that the Kings were able to win up against the Leviathans. It was 6-1-8 in that game. It's 10-1-5 here in this game for Variety. And this, unfortunately, is a back-to-standard look for the Valkyries, with Johnny doing a lot of the lifting, some of the other lanes not quite faring as well. So now the Valhalla Valkyries, you got one last matchup against the Leviathans. You have that to look forward to. Still can make some waves, make some changes. But what's important, Aggro, I think, is that the Camelot Kings, ultimately, they get done what they need to get done. They still have a matchup against the Dragons. But if you're looking at Group A, the talking point has been you beat the Valkyries, you're feeling good about your chance the Jade Dragons tomorrow. But we've got one more big matchup before we get there here today, Aggro, and it's part of a two-game, they're two separate broadcasts, but back-to-back games for the Tartarus Titans, at least as far as the schedule looks here. Tartarus Titans going up against the Oni Warriors, and Group B, and specifically the path and the life in the Phase 3 playoffs for the Oni Warriors, so important. I mean, of course you want to get a win against the Titans, but really plus-minus is going to factor heavily into this. If all these games go as we expect, and the Titans win this one, and the Titans beat the Solar Scarabs, then you're going to have Scarabs at 1 and 2, you're going to have the Oni Warriors at 0 and 2, and you're going to have the Bolts at 1 and 1 before the Oni Warriors play the Bolts later on this weekend. So there's still the potential for a lot of head-to-head tiebreakers, things like that here in Group B. So Oni Warriors want to win in this next matchup, but having it be close and competitive, very important.